Hi everyone, welcome back to Salty Tarot. That's the first time I've gotten to say it like that. So we're going to do a pick a card reading this fine day. And so we've got three cute little animals to choose from. We've got the Antique Anatomy Tarot with this funky little unicorn that has been our Christmas tree topper since I was a wee one. She's been around the block. She's been all over the world, actually. She came traveling with me to various locales. Then we have this super cute little axolotl with the Crow Tarot in the middle, my current obsession. And then both axolotls and Crow Tarot. We have this sagacious owl with the mushroom deck. What's this called? The Midnight Magic deck, I think it's called. And yeah, so we are looking at what is in your highest good in this connection. So in the connection with your person, what is in your highest good? So feel into which pile calls you, and we'll see you, and you can check the timestamps down below and click right to the pile that you feel drawn to. And yeah, we'll see you in your reading. Hi Pile 1, welcome to your reading. I wanted to start with some Starseed Oracle cards, just to get a feel for your energy and your person's energy. Spirit, please tune me into this connection of Pile 1 with the person on their mind, or the person in their heart, as the case may be. But then I was very strongly called to pull out the Citadel deck, and so I don't know, we're just going to go with it. I guess we'll get a card from each. I had sort of a plan, but plans are nothing next to intuition. If we're sticking too rigidly to a plan, then we're missing out on the cues coming from our intuition. Maybe that's a message for you or your person. Maybe there's something to it. Okay, Spirit, can we get, please, a card for Pile 1's energy in this connection? Current energy. So this is a bit of an energy check-in. So if the cards speak to you, then you'll know you're in the right pile. And if not, if it's not resonating, or if you're having to sort of stretch to make it fit, then you might not be in the right pile or the right reading. You could click off and try a different reading or a different pile. If you're feeling drawn to more than one pile and then the energy check-in doesn't resonate, then that's, maybe an indication that you can head on over and check out the other pile and see if that resonates more. Okay, so a card for Pile 1's energy in this connection, please, Spirit. Too many. Okay, I am feeling called to get the top card here. So we've got I Remember, Soul Plan, the Fated Life versus the Destiny Life. Interesting. And then can we please get a card for the person on the other end of the connection with Pile 1. Pile 1's person, please, Spirit. Person in their heart or on their mind. Card for the energy of Pile 1's person, please, Spirit. Oop. We've got Weight of the World, Boundaries, Let It Go, It's Not Yours to Carry. And then let's pull out the Citadel deck and give it a wee little shuffle. And we'll have a look at the guidebooks for both of these. Okay, could we please get a card for pile one's energy in this connection? Please, Spirit. I think something just flipped over. Oh, maybe not. We have the Astronomer, Discovery, Augury. And can we please get a card for pile one's person in this connection? Ooh. 3 cards flipped out, and I only had the intention of getting the top one, and 2 landed upside down, and the top one landed facing up. So we have the Muse, Generosity, and Naivety. Okay, so for I remember, there was a moment before you were born when you chose the conditions of the life you're living right now, when you plotted out these exact moments along the timeline of your life. We live in a world of free will, and therefore these moments become our destiny only through saying yes. The fated life is the one we were born into. The destiny life is the one our soul chooses, and it takes courage and faith. If you pull this card, it's because you are likely now face to face with the choice to follow the destiny life over the fated life, to trust the path your soul is calling you toward, and to remember that this moment was prearranged on your life's timeline. You may find yourself at a crossroads, at a moment when you're being called to make a decision, to keep walking the perfectly laid out path before you, or choose the one less traveled. You may be facing a change of career, a new relationship, a difficult decision, or something else that requires courage and faith. You're being invited to remember your soul's greater plan and to surrender to it. When you're confronted with a path that's undefined, it's normal for doubt to rear its head. In fact, this is a certain sign that you're facing your soul's greater plan. Every hero, in his or her life journey, comes eye to eye with doubt. The only way around it is through it. It's all part of the larger plan. What are you being called to do to surrender to your soul's plan? So if you're feeling at a bit of a crossroads, maybe in this connection or in life in general, that might resonate for you. We have the Astronomer. Took me a long time to figure out the guidebook for this stack. It makes sense now, though. It's all about the symbols. The Astronomer. Gold instruments were, a telescope tilts upwards, revealing galaxies impossible distances away. The planets turn, reliable and infinite, unaffected by the frantic lives of men. The Astronomer thrives in shadows, for it is the darkest night that shows the brightest of stars. Where others look to books and history for knowledge, the Astronomer knows that there are greater powers at work in the world. The constellations tell them what they need to know. You're in a complex situation, and clues on how to navigate it won't come from past experiences. Now is the time to look both beyond and within for answers and to trust in your intuition. Let go of the material needs and concerns that are holding you back and meditate on what your gut is telling you. Others who are like-minded may be able to guide you. Be open to their perspectives, but don't be bound by them. So you're being called to trust in your intuition. Dial into your intuition and let go of any material concerns. Meditate to tap into your intuition. Find like-minded people who maybe have experience with maybe the crossroads that you're facing. And, be careful who you take advice from. As it says, be open to their perspectives, but don't be bound by them. So check in with your own intuition, your own feeling of what path you need to be walking. Sometimes we substitute other people's opinions for our own as some kind of shortcut from actually doing our shadow work and attuning to what we need, what we want even. Okay, and for your person we have Weight of the World. Boundaries, let it go, it's not yours to carry. So this is talking about your person. So when it says you, it means your person. You don't need to carry it all. You're no good to anyone if you're running on empty and bogged down by the weight of the world. This card is a reminder to look after your own well-being before anyone else's, to stop carrying the world's problems on your shoulders, to put on your own oxygen mask first. In these changing times, it's hard not to feel overwhelmed by the state of the planet. However, you can't take on its problems from a place of energetic depletion. This card is thanking you for caring so much. You want to build a better world and ease the road for others, and that's incredible. But the way you've been doing so is likely unsustainable. This isn't to say you should switch off to the world's problems and become unconscious. Rather, it's a call to establish clear boundaries so you're not constantly taken out energetically. The planet needs you to be healthy, both physically and emotionally. So instead of digesting the news or reaching for your phone as soon as you wake up, show up first to a nourishing practice such as meditation, soul inquiry, deep breathing, or exercising in nature. Once you're in a state of grace and your inner well is full, you can face the day, the state of the world, and care for others. And at the day's end, take an energetic shower by emptying out anything that's not yours to carry. You can pick it up again the next morning if you so choose, but give yourself time and space to rejuvenate and rest. What are you carrying that isn't even yours? So your person might be taking on social issues or societal problems, feeling like they need to do everything they can to address, maybe some of the negativity that's swirling around in the political sphere right now. And that's definitely a compelling urge and feeling, but we also do need to make sure that as every parent knows, if you want to show up for your kids, if you want to be fully present and kind and compassionate towards your kids, then you have to make sure you're taking care of yourself first. And, I think it's natural as a parent to overextend and want to make sure your kids are well taken care of ahead of yourself. And you can do that to an extent, like you can feed them before you sit down and eat your own dinner, of course. But if you feed them and forget to make dinner for yourself, then you might end up getting grumpy with your kids and sort of undermining your own goal of caring well for your kids. So, you need to make sure that you're replenishing yourself and setting those boundaries, your person, rather, in this case. One needs to. And so it might be, if that sounds like it resonates for your person, then this is likely your pile. Then we have the Muse with generosity and naivety. Laughter, flowing wine, the sound of someone playing the lyre. I love the word lyre. Sunshine streams into the square, bathing a gathering of dancing youths in its warmth. The Muse doesn't see the world as it is, but rather its potential, and dreams of a life of peace and equality. Never short of a song or a toast, the Muse is an optimist and a lover, always ready with a kind word and a spare cup of wine. Now is the time to look beyond the bad news and embrace a little of that dreamer's spirit. Any situation can be improved with hard work, but it also needs optimism. Belief in the potential for a better outcome, especially if others believe in it too. Being jaded is for the world weary. Embrace positivity instead. So perhaps your person has been overextending themselves in, for example, activism or, even just concern or worry for what's going on out there in the world. And so there's a strong message here that they need to be focusing on self-care and maintaining optimism and positivity, which, admittedly at certain times is hard to come by. But, if we sort of break it down, I saw a Brene Brown quote yesterday, if we break it down into this moment, what is alive for you in this moment? What is, right in front of you? What's happening with the people that you love? How can you improve conditions for the people who are right there, right in front of you? What's a little thing that you can do to lift them up with grace? Rather than sort of focusing on things that are potentially beyond your control. I don't want to say that politics are beyond any individual's control because, there's that Margaret Mead quote, never doubt that one person can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has, I think it says. But, those actions happen in interpersonal one-on-one dynamics a lot of the time. And it might be that you being kind to the next person you meet, doing a kindness for someone, maybe that'll shift something for them and they'll pay that forward. And, you know, that might trickle upwards until you actually have made a change in the state of the world, or your person has, just by being present to what's right in front of you and being kind and compassionate with the people immediately in your vicinity, or your person's vicinity. Sorry, I keep saying you. When I say you. So if that's resonating, let's get into your tarot. So our tarot deck is the Antique Anatomy Tarot with these cool skeletons. I just cut open to, what have we got here? A 10 of Swords, oh dear. And the 7 of Pentacles. So I just really was going to show you how cool the deck is. I didn't mean that to be for you, but while we're here, 10 of Swords is sort of, you know, the nadir, the like the worst has happened, you know, like you've been pierced through with 10 swords and the only way to go from here is up. The worst is over. Now is the time for rebuilding. Like you might be in it right now, or your person might be in it, or the connection. But it looks from these two cards coming out that, which, you know, are they upside down or are they right side up? I mean, I just kind of cut open, and from my perspective, they're upside down, but if I'm shuffling, they're right side up. See that? So rather than getting caught up in reversals right now, I'm going to take the message that it's going to take some work to get out of this 10 of Swords state. Okay, so that's kind of in the background. So Spirit, please tune me into what is in the highest good of pile 1 in respect of this connection. Okay, Spirit, what is in the highest good of pile 1 in respect of this connection? In this connection. I do get wordy, don't I? I'm a wordy lass. Oh, no, I don't like it when they... We'll call that the spirit shuffle. What is in the best interest? Best interest? What is in the highest good? What is in the highest good of pile 1 in respect of this connection? My shuffling game's a bit off today. We have the, is that the 9 of Wands in reverse? Oh, reversals. Testing my skills here. We've got, oh dear, things are falling. These are my markers for, you know, they're pretty crystals and all, but they also tell me where the screen is. Oh goodness, we got a lot of cards here. Okay, we're just gonna take them. So we have the 10, we've got the 9 in reverse, and then the 10 of Wands. Just doubting myself. Yeah, that must be Wands. Then we've got the 4 of Pentacles. That's definitely Wands. And then we have the Hermit. Can we please get a clarifier for the 9 of Wands in reverse? We've got the 7 of Coins coming out again. Clarifier for the 10 of Wands, please, Spirit. We've got the Lovers in reverse. Clarifier for the 4 of Coins. That was too many. Let's try that again. Clarifier for the 4 of Coins, please, Spirit. Well, those definitely came out together, so we'll take them. Got the High Priestess and the 2 of Swords. And then clarifier for the Hermit, please, Spirit. Oh. We have the Ace of Swords. Bottom of the deck, we have the Moon in reverse. That's funny, that came up in last night's reading too. I said a lot about the Moon in reverse, so if you're interested, you might want to check out the reading just before this reading, released just before this reading. I'm not sure when that will be. Likely it will come out tomorrow according to my time, but for you, if you just look back at what the last reading was before this one, you should be able to find out. That was too many words. You know what I'm trying to say. All right, maybe there's too many words in your connection. Maybe somebody's too much in their mind. I'm just gonna have a sip of tea and ponder. Nine of Wands in reverse. Okay, so this relationship may have been a struggle. There might have been a lot of work going into it, particularly on one side. It looks like an imbalance of work, and just sort of a feeling of being burdened by that work. It's sort of like you give and you give and you give, or you put time and effort and just, a lot of efforting into it, and it doesn't seem to improve the relationship. So if this is someone you're in separation with or considering a separation from, I'd say that there's a strong call here to go inside and check in with your own intuition. I'm like, I see that sort of repeated multiple times in here. See, I'm getting better at just telling you what the messages are instead of breaking it down card by card. I just took that little pause and it helped. Sometimes the pressure of having to think on the spot it's just occurring to me that I can not think on the spot because it's a video and I can pause it. I can edit out the thinking parts. I can edit out the pauses and make them shorter. Yeah, and so what I'm seeing here is it's like there's a lot of work going in, possibly one-sided work, and it's feeling like work. It's feeling like, it's almost there, but it's not getting there. Okay, we've got the 7 of Pentacles, we don't have the 8 following it. It's sort of like the work is feeling burdensome, and that's confirmed over here. With the 10 of Wands, that's, you're carrying a lot. You're carrying so much that it's like, you just want to put them down. You just, you're exhausted. You just need to put them down. And it seems like it has to do with feelings of mistrust is coming through. I was going to say feelings of disconnection, feelings of, like maybe there was a connection that felt very loverly, and at this point it's feeling like it's taking a lot of maintenance to return to that or get back to that, and it's just not working. It's not happening. Or it's feeling like a struggle as opposed to just like, lifting you up or lifting your person up. Instead, it's like work. And so if that's resonating for you, I mean, you would already know it, right? So I'm not saying that this is something that's going to happen in your relationship. I'm saying this is what I'm seeing as sort of current energies. So, don't stretch to make that fit if it's not already fitting, but if that's resonating, then we'll just continue on our journey here. And so the 4 of Pentacles is holding on to something. It's sort of trying to create stability, root down, but possibly at the expense of ignoring present factors, ignoring what's actually happening in the moment, sort of being overly attached. So having, like, for example, if you have like I was saying at the beginning, I don't know if I said that in this pile or in the intro, but if you have a plan, like I had a plan for these cards. Yeah, it was this pile. I had a plan for which oracle cards to pull, and then I just had this strong hit that I needed to get the other deck. And, I trust that I may never know what the reason for wanting to grab that second deck is, but it might be that it spoke to, just one person. There might be like spirit coming through trying to connect with, a person who felt some resonance from those cards and felt like they were in the right pile, or even that they weren't. And, so if you're sticking too closely to your principles, especially in a relationship, if it's sort of like, we're in a relationship, this is it, like we've made this decision to be together, and so we have to put in the work. And that's, traditionally, that's what relationships were. Traditionally they were a situation of a man owning a woman, buying her from her father, and then putting her to work. And but sort of more recently, I'd say, we viewed marriage as a connection that two people choose themselves, for each other, for themselves. Marriage, union, connection, partnership. I'm using those terms interchangeably with a slight distaste in my mouth. I'm not a fan of marriage, as you might be. If you've already accessed the previous reading, that might have come through. I do think it's very possible to do marriage well. And, it can be very exciting and wonderful if two people craft it themselves. I just feel like a lot of these sort of inherited institutions and traditions around marriage are just, they're not good for women, and they're probably not good for men either, frankly. And I think that anybody who does not identify as either a man or a woman is probably already sagacious enough to be choosing, what works for them from that institution and discarding the rest. So we'll leave it there. And I think everybody should be doing that. Anyway, maybe you're a person who has done that and I am ranting about nothing. And this is not about me anyway. So if there's some strong attachment here, if there's been sort of like a principled, desire to like work on it, make it work at all costs, it might be that and I'm not saying you're being called to walk away. I don't see that, but I do see a very strong call to go internal and check in with yourself, meditate on it, maybe go on a retreat, like get right away from the situation and take some time and some space for yourself and connect in with your divine feminine, whatever gender you identify with. Get in touch with your divine feminine, with your inner knowing, and let that part of you come through, tap into your own intuition. I feel like I'm overusing the word intuition. I'm going to go back up to my cheat sheet on that one because I just want to make sure I kind of covered all the bases. So higher power, mystery, feminine divinity, intuition more powerful than logic. So, checking in with your heart and your body, like your somatic responses to situations, that can be very telling. And of course, there are techniques where you do exactly that to sort of check in with yourself to make decisions. Some decision does want to be made here. But even just like being present with your body in a situation, becoming aware of what's going on inside your body at a physical level can tell you a lot about how you're feeling, not just how you want to be feeling, how you think you should be feeling, but how you are actually feeling in a situation. And maybe, sometimes we don't listen to those body signals because we don't want to acknowledge that there's something off. We don't want something to be off, and so we ignore our own intuition or our own somatic responses in situations. And, maybe we push through sort of out of principle, being like, nope, we committed, we said we're doing this. And also, like you could be quite entangled, financially with children, with a shared life, with your fur babies, with, legal documents and deeds. And it can be quite challenging to even conceptualize taking that space. And, it might be that you take that space and that go into that pause, and then that you want to continue that work, or maybe you get a new angle on how you want to do that work, or alternatively, it might be that you realize that you're done. And so, I'm not saying any of those things are what is going to come up for you. What I am saying is it has to come from you and from your own intuition. So whatever methods you have for checking in with yourself, and creating the time and the space to be able to do that is really important. And then, sitting with it, like feeling your feelings, seeing what's coming up. I just watched a video where a person was speaking about attachment theory and saying she did not understand what feeling your feelings meant. So if that phrase confuses you because you're a person who does not, for example, just feel your feelings, like maybe if you're intellectualizing about what does that mean, then chances are you're potentially disconnected. Like you're probably feeling anxiety if you're not sure what that phrase means, and you feel like that's, the prevalent device of our day and age. But instead of acknowledging that anxiety and being present with it, you're coming up with an intellectual narrative around, like, what does this phrase mean? So I don't know, that's maybe a quick example. So if that's something that you find yourself doing in situations, you know, like trying to mentalize, like, what's the next step? Like, how do I make this work? You know, maybe you need to get away from the mind aspects of this. Attune to your inner unicorn. I love this one so much. It's so bedraggled and it's been through so much. And I used it as like a sentinel on the dash of my car for many years. That's why it's lost its yellowness. But she's so cute. And she's been to India and various places. I'm not sure if she came to Japan. I don't remember. But if she did, she was there for a long time. As was I. And so you've got a decision to make. You've got a decision about this attachment. Let me just pull up the Four of Pentacles as well. You sort of had things I wanted to say. I just want to make sure. So the Four of Pentacles can also be about, it's the Four of Coins in this deck. So it can be about financial stability. It might be that you're really holding on to, like, wanting to ensure that you've got everything in place to ensure financial stability in the connection, or, you know, for yourself or your loved ones beyond the connection. And it's an indication of wanting to stay in a comfort zone, wanting to make sure things are stable and safe. And so I think the message here is, if you are finding yourself clinging, you know, kind of like wanting to force security and stability, then that's a really good indication that you're not feeling secure and stable. Because if you felt that, you wouldn't feel the need to create it, if that makes sense. And so checking in with yourself might lead you to this place of, it might be, you know, you go from here to here to here. So it might be that checking in with your intuition, diving deep down into, you know, what your body, for some reason that's coming up again. So I'm really getting a very strong, you know, somatic, like, as opposed to going off and doing witchy rituals. Maybe that's your way of checking in with your intuition. And if it is, then certainly do that. Dusky, what's going on? You want to go play with Kazi outside? Yeah, sorry. So that was Dusky meowing to let me know that his brother was out in the rainy cold outside the door. So Dusky was meowing and meowing and meowing for me to open the door so that I could let his brother in. Isn't that the sweetest thing ever? I love those cats. Which makes me think maybe your person is out in the rainy cold right now, and, you know, maybe there's a part of you coming through wanting to let them in, or maybe, you know, these cards are coming through. Maybe there is something to, you know, or possibly the other way around. Maybe your person feels like, you know, you're the one out in the cold, and that there might be a call to let you in and sort of loosen the control, loosen the boundaries. But in any event, I think the way you're going to get to even acknowledging that there's a decision to be made is by going internal. Just want to go back to that for a second. As I was saying, if if rituals are your thing, certainly do that. I'm not saying don't do that, but ritual as well can come from a place of mind, I find. And, you know, but there's, whatever your way of connecting with the mysteries is, that's what you want to be doing in order to potentially relinquish control. What am I trying to say? Surrender. There's a call to surrender here. To surrender the desire to control the outcome, to let go of that work. You know, it might be that you drop your wands and they roll down the hill and are gone. It might be that you drop your wands and your person picks them up and carries them a little ways. You know, maybe that you drop your wands and you end up having a conversation about who picks up which wand and carries which ones need to come with you and which ones can just be left by the wayside for somebody else to, you know, use to do their work later, right? So you don't know. The point is you don't know. You can't ensure that stability. Ooh, the candle just went out. Ooh, that's interesting. I'm not going to assign a meaning to that, but as I'm about to get another one anyway, but potentially that might have something to say to you in this moment as we're talking about, you know, relinquishing control, letting whatever is just be. You know, like if you're carrying a relationship, I've been there. You know, it's not flattering. You know, like I've done that to death in every relationship, I feel like. And I feel like none of those relationships would have existed if I hadn't done that. And at this point, you know, like I'm choosing a relationshipless life for myself because I don't want to bend over backwards to make something happen anymore, you know? If it's just not, it doesn't help it helps my esteem in the sense of like, I know I can do it, you know, like if I have my sights on someone, I know that I can, you know, make that happen for myself. I'm very good at that, whether that's like, you know, intuitive witchy powers that are subconsciously manifesting on the surface. I'm not sure what it is. I'm very good at manifesting what I want. But, you know, at this point in my life, I'm trying to be more comfortable with just being alive and present with the desire, you know, acknowledging that to myself, feeling the feelings, you know, and letting whatever needs to happen because, you know, I mean, you can't just hide away in a corner and expect somebody to know that you have a crush on them. But, you know, like if you voice that, if you've articulated it and it's not, you know, I'm hearing Nina Simone saying, it'll go up by itself. You know, don't put nothing in it unless you feel it. It'll go up by itself. And yeah. I don't think it gets any wiser than Nina Simone. You know, if you're feeling it, then go towards it. But if you're not, then it's time to put down the wands. I'd say that's what's coming through as being in your highest good here. And I see a very positive outcome in the sense of clarity for you and a lack of, you know, the moon. I've got the Three of Cups under there. I'm just going to keep pulling cards if I pick that up. So the moon is intuition again. Like there's another resonance with intuition and doing shadow work. You know, I was saying in the last reading, you know, if you close your eyes when you're doing your yoga and everyone has got their eyes closed and you can trust that everyone's eyes are closed, then everyone just goes very internal with their own process and can attune to their, you know, whatever's going on for them, the reactions they're having. And you can do these like silly, absurd feeling, you know, exercises that your teacher is telling you to do. Like, I mean, there's something called bundle rolls. Are they bundle rolls? If you look up Kundalini yoga and bundle rolls, it's like, or log rolls, you know, like you just end up doing like, and even just the pranayams, you know, like blocking off a nostril and breathing through the other one. If you've never done anything like that before, it can feel so absurd and like challenging to sort of make yourself a fool in that way. Like you just feel foolish, or at least I did when I was 18 first starting on this path. And you know, if you just keep your eyes closed, and then you can actually attune to the effects of that exercise. You sort of go beyond the self-consciousness, the ego, and you start noticing, you know, the balancing between your, you know, in Kundalini yoga, it would be described as the balancing between the hemispheres of your brain. I'm not suggesting that I'm a neuroscientist, or, you know, I can't say that there's anything necessarily to that narrative. But quite frankly, I think that all narratives are narratives. And so, you know, if it's a narrative that speaks to you, that connects you to what is going on for you somatically and energetically, then it's useful. Anyway, so the moon upside down means coming out of confusion. So getting clarity about a situation. It means a lot more than that, and I'm just going to leave it there because, again, if you feel called to, you can access the other reading from last night for a little bit more on that. So that would be the bottom of the deck energies, meaning that's sort of in the background. So wanting to come out of confusion or coming out of confusion, and then this is very, very resonant. So the Hermit, again, is, you know, the same thing of going internal, checking in with your own process. creating the space to do some soul searching, you know, lighting your candle, finding a quiet place to meditate and let whatever needs to come up. And for you, that might be a walk in the forest. It might be, you know, running as fast as you can for as long as you can. It might be moving your body. It might be dancing it out at a place where you don't know anyone, you know, like just going into the dance. It might be ecstatic dance, where you don't have to talk to anyone. You know, working it out through your body. I don't know why that keeps coming up, but it's coming up. You know, it might be meditating. It might be journaling, you know, whatever your methods are. And the outcome is clarity, is very sharp clarity. So, you know, if there's a decision to be made, you're going to make it. You're going to know exactly how you want to make it after you go into this process of checking in with yourself. The confusion is going to end. So that's what I'm seeing here. Just trying to think if I want to get something else. I think we're going to leave it there. Maybe we'll get an Astro Oracle, just in terms of, not really sure in terms of what. I was going to say in terms of timing, but, you know, if I set that intention, we'll pull something like the 6th house, and it will have nothing to do with timing. So anyway, by way of advice or a final message for pile 1. Okay, hi, we're back. So I was about to get an Astro card by way of, I don't know, some advice for you. Any last messages that need to come through? We have Libra with balance. And so Libra's the sign of balance. Libra can also be, it is said that, you know, people sort of associate Libra with, you know, with Venus, with harmony, with love, but, you know, like a very peaceful kind of love, like everything sort of being copacetic. However, people who are Libras, who have the sun sign of Libra or even the rising sign of Libra, you know, it's not that they are necessarily harmonious in their relationships. It's that they, you know, they're striving for that, and striving for any, much like if you call in healing, life's going to bring you a bunch of challenges that prompt you to heal yourself. You know, being born into the sign of Libra is sort of like, you know, you'll face lots of relationship, interpersonal challenges, so that you learn how to create harmony in your relationships, so that you end up working towards that. You know, I imagine it probably depends on which decan you're born into. So if you're born in the first 10 days, the middle 10 days, or the last 10 days, there can be differences in how those energies come through. The first decan being the physical realm, and possibly maybe the ego realm. I haven't heard anyone say that, but that would make sense to me. The second decan being sort of the more intellectual, mental realm, and maybe that's the ego part. And then the third decan being spiritual, associated with spirituality, and, you know, you're about to transcend to the next sign, the end of that cycle, moving on to the next one. Okay, let's see what it says here. Libra asks us to strengthen all relationships with an infusion of justice, equality, equity, communication, fairness, and romance. The cardinal air sign Libra is ruled by Venus, and its symbol is balanced scales. So cardinal signs are beginning signs. They're like starter energies. They get things going. Air is communication and networking, interpersonal relations. The gift of gab is one Libra I know has put it. Libra is connected to the kidneys, the endocrine system, in all the ways a body comes into balance. See, here we are back at the somatic piece. Action, compassion, and purpose infuse beauty, and beauty flows from a balanced composition. To bring true balance to this situation, look at it through the lens of social justice and ask what would be unequivocally fair. Assess what you value, assess what others value, and find compromise. Become aware of any personal bias, whether you believe that your opinion is more important than someone else's or that theirs is more important than yours. Chant no justice, no peace, and then no justice, no peace, spelled K-N-O-W. So N-O justice, N-O peace, K-N-O-W justice, K-N-O-W peace. Be fair, straightforward, appreciative, and kind. I mean, that's about the best advice that you could pull out of any deck ever. Look at the whole situation for better composition. Balance the colors, the light, the shapes, and forms. Make sure everyone in this relationship feels heard. Acknowledge the existing beauty in the situation and ask yourself how you can bring in more. Explore the arts, music, and movement. Engage in expressive joy and let your soul take in this powerful medicine. Whether at home, at work, or in your love life, this situation may require a partnership of equals. As you create beauty and balance in your situation, you may call in new people who want to dance with you. Meet them on a level field and explore what you can do together. Sometimes conflict needs to erupt before a healthy equilibrium can be reestablished. Repression is not peace. Beauty can be misleading. Aesthetics alone can be shallow and incomplete, unless loveliness expresses a deeper beauty, a compassionate heart. Gift. The Navajo refer to the beauty way as the path of a life lived in balance, living in the right relations with one another, with the cycles of nature, with the ecosystem all around, and with spirit. Let the beauty way call you. Well, that's a very lovely end to this reading. I'm happy that we pulled that last card. So, pile 1, that is your reading. I hope it was resonant for you and that you are able to take that time to check in with yourself and find that clarity and come out of any fog of confusion that you may have been feeling or that has clouded the relationship, and then find balance, whether that's within you, interpersonally, calling in something new, calling something new in your relationship, calling in someone new in your relationship, whatever it is that feels like it will help you achieve balance and ensure that both parties are equally heard, and that includes you, right? You have to be heard as well as you have to hear the other person. And standing up for yourself if that needs to happen, or toning down your own voice so that you can hear the other person if that's what needs to happen, and finding that balance with love and kindness and compassion. Okay, pile 1, please do press all the buttons, like, subscribe, share if you feel called to, and come on back for more. That would be lovely. Okay, I hope your day is fanciful and lovely and wonderful. Be well until the next one. Bye. Hi, Belle 2. Here's your axolotl friend. So cute. Hello, hello. Oh my goodness. Axolotl's gonna hang out there and look like a balding scientist. So we are looking at what is in your highest good in respect to this connection with the person on your mind or in your heart. I think I like that better. Maybe I'll use that from now on. Maybe that'll be my thing. Maybe I can have a thing that's my thing. That would be cool. So I've got the Citadel deck and the Audacity deck here to do a little bit of an energy check-in. So energy check-in is the sort of beginning of the reading where you, if it seems like it's resonating, then you have confirmation that you're in the right place, that you've chosen the right reading. And if not, then if you're finding that you have to you're like, well, maybe that could fit if this happened or that happened, but if you have to stretch to make it fit, then it might not be your reading. That's okay, it happens. It's not a fail. It's not a failure of you. But it couldn't, sometimes in my experience, sometimes if I have a hard time choosing between two readings, sometimes the energy check-in will just sort of solidify for me that, nope, it's not that one, it's this other one. And sometimes, it might not be, on one occasion, I've found that none of the piles in that reading were speaking to me. And, you know, there might be another reading, there might be another reader, there might be another pile that speaks to you, or maybe it's time to just go for a walk in nature. Who knows? Anyway, let's get into it. So can we please have a card, Spirit, for the energy of pile 2? This is for you, your energies. We got the cold shoulder. You've been a little distant with someone in your life, perhaps? Can we get a card for pile 2's person, please? Whoa, that looks like something has flipped over. Has it? Or am I deluded? Apparently I'm deluded. Whoa. Pet tails and candles don't go together, I've learned. Careful, Decaya. I don't know if you can see the cute bum that's staring me in the face right now. It's a very fluffy bum. We call him Mr. Fluffy Butt. Mr. Fluffy Butt. He has an unusually fluffy posterior. Maybe you just saw it go under the table. He's under the tarot table now. There's this lacuna right here. I can reach through and pet him. Hello. Hello, sweet boy. Okay. Okay, so we've got the audacity for your person. And I'm just thinking, if I was giving someone the cold shoulder, I would so much appreciate if there was, romantic feelings, let's say, I would so much appreciate them being in their audacity energies. I feel like that would be fan-freaking-tastic. It's quite funny. Cheeky. Maybe your person's a little cheeky. I was called, for some reason, the axolotl wanted pile 2, and then I was called to get the audacity deck, and that's, I've never even pulled that card before. The audacity, we'll go to the guidebook and read about it. I feel like the cold shoulder is pretty self-explanatory, but the audacity is probably self-explanatory too. Look at that dapper skeleton riding along in its canoe of dark clouds under an all-seeing eye. Are they seagulls or are they albatrosses off in the distance? With a portal. Seems to be a portal there as well. She-Ra vibes. Okay, a card for pile 2, please. I hope I said pile 2 earlier. Did I say pile 2? Did I call you by a name that was not your name? I am definitely, wow, the energy is very different than with pile 1. That's funny. So if you're feeling irreverent, or if you're an irreverent sort of person, or attracted perhaps to irreverent people, I think you're in the right pile. Because I'm feeling cheeky and silly in a way that I was not in pile 1. I was very tuned in spiritually, I'd say, in pile 1. The puppeteer. And can we get a card for pile 2's person, please, Spirit? The energy of pile 2's person in this connection at present. These are hard to shuffle. I'm quite partial to not picking a card, but I guess it's kind of like birth interventions, Either way, that kid is born at a certain time. Oh no, we got 2. That's against the rules, Spirit. We've got actually, did the puppeteer come out in reverse? I'm going to read the reverse of that because I feel like it might have come out in reverse, and I forgot that they actually do have reversals in this deck. So we've got the warrior upright and the cartographer in reverse. So we'll read it, and if it did come out in reverse, if you can see that in the video, which I can't see without melting time. Oops, let's do this one first. I'll just make sure I read it out so you can take whichever of the meanings resonates for you. The cold shoulder. Chilling, quite literally cold, that shoulder. It's a shoulder of bone. It's going to be cold. Not all things require a response. Silence can speak volumes. Sometimes the healthiest decision is to enforce boundaries, turn the other cheek and shoulder, and walk away. Maybe your person's been a little too audacious, and you're getting a message from Spirit that it's time to reinforce your boundaries and or walk away. You know, not necessarily forever, maybe forever, that's up to you. Yeah, if your person's a cheeky sort, I feel like this could be a fun dynamic, but if you're feeling harassed by their audacity, then it seems like an actual cold shoulder might be the way to go. The audacity... A skeleton rose into the serene, rainbow-filled sky, announcing his presence. Your bright, sunshiny day has been suddenly and unabashedly disturbed by the ultimate storm cloud. So I think the skeleton's day has been disturbed by the storm cloud, but if your person is, you know, this audacious skeleton riding through the rainbow sky, bringing in a storm cloud, maybe you're feeling them as a storm cloud at this time, if that resonates. Just when you thought it was safe to smell the roses, the utter audacity of someone or something is coming to rain on your parade. This is the ultimate wake-up call card, the card to end all cards. Give the boot to cheaters, users, couch surfers, energy vampires, fair weather friends, toxic bosses, and last week's rotten produce that has the audacity to mold. All right, well, you know, it's not really the cheeky meaning of audacity that I was reading into it myself. So maybe your person is annoying and maybe it is time to give them the boot. Not because they're annoying, but because they're not respecting your boundaries. Which, you know, like sometimes we tell ourselves that can, will, may shift, but, you know, like there's a fine line between a good sense of mischief and actually trampling on someone's boundaries. If you don't have a good sense of mischief, what good are you, really? But, you know, even if you've got that mischievous quality, mischievous, I don't know. I've always said mischievous. Do you say mischievous or mischievous? Maybe reach out and let me know if I'm pronouncing that word completely wrong. Because I read a lot of words and then I say them out loud and realize that that's not how other people say them out loud. Anyway, you have every, you know, right and, I was going to say purpose. That's not what I mean, but like, you know, if there's a need to set boundaries, you should set boundaries and your person should be respecting your boundaries. And, you know, there's a time for I mean, you got to know how to read the room, I guess. The puppeteer. Soft curls of sawdust litter the floor and the scent of wood shavings fills the air. Shelves, cupboards, and tabletops are covered with wooden figures. Some half assembled, some not yet fully carved. Each one lovingly made and tenderly painted. The puppeteer does not know the fear of being alone. When loneliness calls, they simply create their own company. But these puppets will never be the equal of human companionship. And though they will not admit it to themselves, the puppeteer will never be fully satisfied. Conjuring real social skills can be a challenge. People have their own feelings and their own lives, and it's easy to say or do the wrong thing. That's funny because I'm like stumbling through my words, feeling like I'm saying or doing the wrong thing as we get further into this reading that I thought was going to be silly and fun. That's how it happens. You think you're being funny, and then, you know, you can tell the other person is not impressed. It happens. Especially, you know, if you have any kind of neurodivergence or ADHD, for example. If you, like, get a little manic sometimes, you think you're being funny, and other people just give you that look. It's like, oh yeah, adults lose their sense of mischief as they get older. I don't know where fun goes, but sometimes there's, yeah, okay, I'm just gonna stop talking. I'm not meaning to judge anyone or anything. I just want to be me. I want to be able to be silly and bring the mischief into other people's lives without getting into trouble for it. It does get me into trouble. Holy hell, has it gotten me into trouble lately? Yep, okay. And I, you know, have witnessed it in other people's dynamics and been like, is that person legit offended by those cheeky actions? Or are they, like, is the dynamic that they pretend to be offended, but they're secretly loving it? Because I can't even begin to conceal how much I love it when people are cheeky and ridiculous. But, you know, and then I see photos of myself later and I'm like, yep, it's very clear what my reaction to that situation was. But other people seem legit offended sometimes. And I'm like, you know, how could you possibly be offended by somebody being hilarious? And I don't mean hilarious in an offensive way. I just mean like getting in the middle of, like, I don't know. I'm not even going to say the word. Okay, let's move on. Conjuring real social skills can be a challenge. People have their own feelings in their own lives, and it's easy to say or do the wrong thing. You're not the only person to have made an embarrassing mistake in the past. I have too, as I just said. So own up to it and smooth things over. An apology or explanation is a small price to pay to maintain an important relationship. And if reversed, you may have made the first steps towards apologizing, or perhaps you're still too afraid to speak up and admit that you were wrong. Whatever the situation, there is an element of resentment that it may not be possible to forgive or forget. Sometimes the best thing is to accept that things are irredeemable and move on separately. Yeah, so with my feeling that maybe that came out in reverse, even if I'm totally wrong about that, you know, we've called in that reverse meaning at this point, and it does align more than the upright, I'd say, with the cold shoulder. It may be that you've been giving your person the cold shoulder, and perhaps you're being called to own up and, you know, smooth things over if you've been a little too cold and you feel that it's not warranted. So, you know, if it's not a boundary situation, if it's like you've, you know, been a little too hard on them, or, you know, what have you, if that feels like it's been too much or inappropriate or is just no longer serving. Let's put it that way, like leave out the judgment. If it's just not serving in this moment right now, and you feel like there's something that you need to account for, then that might be, the puppeteer might be explanations, apologies. It might be a call to take accountability for your actions. Conversely, it might be a call to walk away if you feel like the situation is irredeemable. So it might be a call to set boundaries and enforce them and walk away. If there's lingering resentment that you just can't let go of. And I will add here, I'm not necessarily sanctioning the messages of the cards. That's just the messages that I'm getting. In my personal opinion, if you're feeling resentment, that means there's some shadow work to be done. I'll just interject and say that. But you can take whatever, I'll just leave that there. And, you know, that's just like a little kernel of information that may or may not resonate for you. And if it does, work with it. And if it doesn't, then take the messages of the cards as I just delivered them. Your person, so they're rolling in a storm cloud, it looks like. And we've got the warrior. The ring of steel, the scuff of boots in the dirt, the shout of recruits echoes across the courtyard. The training ground is a place of hard work, of blood and sweat, of the singular pursuit of improvement, and the warrior strives for perfection, no matter the scars they gather in pursuit of their peak form. In your efforts to improve, you set yourself in competition against something or someone, perhaps even an imagined perfect version of yourself. That primal need to win is driving you. It feels great, and when I say you, this means your person. It feels great to come out on top, no matter the damage you take in the meantime. Whether you learn to curb that impulse or use it to grab your goals, be aware of its presence. I actually remember reading this once before, pulling this card once before, and I like how they have left it open-ended. They're not saying that the pursuit of perfectionism and resulting burnout is necessarily a bad thing, and they're not saying that it isn't a bad thing. They're saying be aware of its presence. Increase your awareness. So your person may need to increase their awareness of the fact that they are driven to pursue a goal, and at the expense of, their physical body, their health, their relationships, perhaps. So it may be that they need to hone in on that impulse in themselves and the effect that it has on themselves and the world around them, the relationships around them. I don't know if I read that. It says perfectionism and burnout. And then the cartographer, a crossroads and exploration in reverse, which would be same section. I'm just going to skip to the reverse for the sake of time. Rather than a traditional four-way crossroad, you've been living your life at the crossroad of 10, 20, 100 different roads. You pick up and discard new avenues too quickly for any of them to stick, leaving you full of great ideas but with nothing to show for it. It's time to settle down and focus on just one road, or you'll be constantly directionless. So it might be that your person is sort of throwing themselves into, you know, they've had the audacity to roll into your life with a storm cloud, or to roll into your life, period. And I cannot let go of the idea of audacity as being like a cheeky good thing. Because, you know, that's kind of what interpersonal connections are. Like when you find yourself smitten with somebody, it feels like this card. At least it does for me. It's like, like I just want to spout out a litany of swear words. You get the idea. I'll have to cut out the one I actually just said. It's just kind of like, oh no, like I've been smited. I am smitten. Like suddenly I have to feel my vulnerability and my emotions and my desires and accept that I may not get what I want. Like suddenly I want something. And that's hard. If you have any avoidance to your personality at all, wanting things is really bloody hard. It just kind of opens you up to, and like, that's why I always say vulnerability is strength. If you can be with your feelings, your emotions, your desires, especially desires, like, I know there's a societal trend right now of like, feel your feelings, which we were just talking about in the last pile. And that's really important. It is important to cultivate awareness of your emotional state and be present to the physical response of your body in the moment. But beyond that, I think being alive to your desire is the missing piece for a lot of our culture. And and that's where the mischief comes from. That's that spark. It's the spark of creativity. It's the spark of desire. It's the spark of wanting something. It's passion. And I think our society has, a bit of there are still many people who identify with the religion of Christianity, but even if you don't, our society is still very, very Christian in its values, in its organizing principles, in our ethics. The ways, the principles that we apply in judging each other day to day are very Christian in their roots. If you, there's a multiplicity of cultures and ethnicities and microcultures, frankly, especially within city environments, but, rurally as well, that define our, collective values. But there is still, the sort of inheritance of Christian values in terms of interpersonal relationships. And I think there's been a lot of unpacking done, but it's been in the form of rebellion, like 60s free love movement, that kind of thing. It was more of a rebellion, and rebellion doesn't leave the thing behind. It's like goes over to the polar opposite, and it like reifies. This is some Derrida coming through. It reifies the thing that it is railing against, as I believe I put it in endless term paper after term paper. And so anyway, so possibly your person has been getting your attention in a way that feels problematic or dark for you, possibly in a fun way, possibly not. But meantime, they are somebody who is like focused on their goals, and they're, plowing ahead at the expense of interpersonal relationships is really coming through, and maybe their own health. And yet they're like unable to focus in and pick a direction, pick a path. I don't know what I've just been ranting about for the last 5 minutes. So if that's resonating, I just feel like I just said all that in a very pithy manner that I could have just said in the first place. Maybe your person second guesses themselves, self-doubts. And maybe that's coming through. It's like, which of these things shall I express right now? Maybe they're doing that with you. Maybe they're not sure quite what to say. Maybe they see so many possibilities that they're having trouble narrowing down the focus to, maybe they need to get in touch with their desire. Maybe they need to sit with themselves and find out what it is they really deep down want. And, hold off on the pursuit of perfection for just a quick minute in order to get in touch with what's going on under the surface for them. So anyway, if that's resonating for you, then this may be your pile. Let's go ahead and get some tarot. Spirit, please tune me into the energy of pile 2. What is in their highest good in this connection? We are using the Crow Tarot, which I find is just a very, maybe it's because I adore crows, but my sister used to, I don't know, there was an affinity between my sister and crows growing up, and she was really into shiny things. And it's funny that I'm thinking of that right now because I have Shiny Things by Taylor Swift stuck in my head, which is a song that my children and I went a full year of immersing ourselves in the back catalog of Taylor Swiftisms and the creative genius that is the enterprise that is Taylor Swift. I'm not saying that there's a specific person behind it necessarily, but if there is, she is a creative genius. But anyway, and then one of my kids' good friends said that that was her favorite song, and I'd never heard of it. And it's like the sweetest, most adorable song I've ever heard, ever. And it's also the kind of song that makes you realize, I mean, while we're on the subject, I don't know why I'm cutting the deck, I just felt called to cut it. Let's cut it again. It's the kind of song that makes you aware of instantly, you know, like you instantly either recognize your relationship in those words or you don't. And so, yeah, anyway, it's a clarifier. It's a clarifying song. It's, you know, if you feel that pop music does not speak to you, there's an Ani DeFranco line. Man, I'm full of quotes this morning. I don't know if I like quoted Margaret Mead, Ani DeFranco, Nina Simone. I must have had a good education, that's all I have to say. Derrida. Well, I amuse myself. At least I amuse myself. At least we have ourselves, self, right? Ani DeFranco, what was I going to say? Oh, yeah. Yeah, sometimes, you know, every time, actually, I have a new sing for a new person. I think of that Ani DeFranco line where she just sounds so depressed about it. She's like, every pop song on the radio is suddenly speaking to me. It goes on, but that's the part that I like. And it's true, you know, it's like you listen to the radio and you're like, that reminds me of the person. That other thing reminds me of the person. And I don't know, I do love that puppy phase. The smitten kitten, puppy dog eyes. So lovely. I'm grinning silly as I say that. I hope that's an experience that you have had or will get to have very shortly. On the other hand, if you are grieving for the end of that phase, then you have my condolences, and, you know, just know that a new puppy dog phase is right around the corner. Rest assured. We have the the 7 of Wands in reverse. Axolotl, you gotta make some room here. That makes, did you say there's, is that upright or upside down? Like for real? Okay, I'm gonna toss it in the air. I saw someone, actually I don't want to toss it in the air. I wanted to take it upright, but then I noticed that it was like slightly more towards the down. I should have looked through the camera before I took it. I know that's gonna come out crooked. Let's do something like that. So we'll just, we'll work with both. So we'll take that as kind of up, kind of down. We can make it work. Look at both meanings. Whoa, that one flipped out and went back in. Oh, goodness. You're going back, you can come out. Ace of Swords in reverse. Okay, one more card, please, Spirit, for what is in the highest good of pile 2 in respect of this connection. Ooh, Ace of Cups. And then can we please get a clarifier for the 7 of Wands in reverse? Clarifier for the 7 of Wands in reverse. Oh, all right. I just, you know, if there's 2, I will take them if they come out together. Maybe 3 I did in the last pile, but it just feels audacious. It feels a little audacious. Of the cards, we have the Fool in reverse and we have Justice upright. And then clarifier for Temperance, please, Spirit. We have the Knight of Pentacles in reverse. Don't know, can you see those? And we are recording. Man, so crooked. I do try. Axolotl, don't burn your whiskers. Yeah, you can still see it. Clarifier for the Ace of Swords. We have the 9 of Cups in reverse. Clarifier for the Ace of Cups, please, Spirit. Hermit in reverse. Okay. Bottom of the deck, we have the 6 of Cups in reverse. So I'm not sure if we can fit that in here, but I'll put it to the side here. Okay, pile 2. All right, so there's a lot of reverse cards here, and there's definitely some pain coming through. And so for the, it looks like a lack of prioritizing the relationship, of sort of an allowing of oneself to be distracted by other things, not in the sense of like other people, but unless that's something that's resonating for you. But what was this card? Right, 7 of Wands in reverse, that's what I thought. So 7 of Wands in reverse. So there's a couple of things here about lacking boundaries as well. So again, we're back to that theme of having respect for boundaries. If you have articulated boundaries and this person you feel has not respected your boundaries, then it looks like that's actually been a situation that has maybe caused some pain and sorrow here, whether on your side or your person's side. You know, maybe your reaction has caused them sorrow. Maybe their lack of respect for your boundaries has caused you sorrow, which is very understandable and, you know, difficult. Like, you gotta, you know, whatever you do, don't compromise on your boundaries, right? You have to create that sphere of protection around yourself and, you know, ask for the same respect that you give yourself. And hopefully that is a high level of respect, because you know that you are worthy of that respect and that you deserve to have your concerns taken seriously by anyone who's in your life. You know, if they're going to be let into your life, then they should be somebody who is hearing and validating and, you know, has concern for what you express about how you feel. And if they don't, you know, that's when you have that message of walking away. So, you know, if you feel that that's not happening in this connection, then it might be time to hear that, process it, sit with it, grieve for it, and then maybe walk away if that's what you feel called to do. Again, don't let me tell you what to do. Just, you know, feel into your own knowledge of the situation, your own intuition. It could also be that it's time to transform it into something better. Maybe there's a need for communication. It looks like the communication so far has not been easy, or not. It looks like it's not satisfying. It's stilted, or, you know, there's an undertow sort of pulling you away from being able to get the communication across in a way that would be effective. And, you know, that may be because the other person is off on a different venture, You know, maybe this connection is not a focus or a priority for them. Or maybe they just simply haven't even, maybe it is a priority and they haven't even noticed that they're, you know, that there's something going on for you that they haven't heeded. And it looks like any attempts that you've made to share that have not really gotten their attention. So it may be that you're at the point of feeling taxed to the point of wanting to give up on the connection. You might be feeling like you've been naive, or that your person has, and that, you know, there's going to be a reckoning. You know, it's time for a reckoning. If that's what's coming to pass, then it is sort of coming up to the surface to be dealt with. In the sense of, you know, whatever actions we take, whatever choices we make. Sorry, I'm laughing because I just went into like a Bryan Adams. Was that a Bryan Adams song? Programmed into my brain from... I tried to keep Bryan Adams out of my brain. I tried so hard. I was not a Bryan Adams fan. I think he's from Vancouver, and I was growing up in Vancouver. Same as Sarah McLachlan. I was not a fan of our local international offerings on the music sphere. Except for Skinny Puppy. I was kind of proud of Skinny Puppy. I didn't know them that well, but I appreciated their notoriety when I went to Sweden and hung out with some punk friends there. Oh my goodness. Focus has been a challenge in some of the readings lately. I mean, focus is ever a challenge for me. But, okay, so there may be some disillusionment happening, just a feeling of wanting to give up, and like it just can't go on as it has been, and it needs to sort of, you know, the consequences are coming to bear, whether that's within you or interpersonally between you. And so Temperance... The Knight of Pentacles, so the Knight of Pentacles upright is the energy of taking things, it's like Capricorn energy, like taking things step by step, working towards a goal. You know, it might be proceeding slowly, but it's gonna get there. Reversed, it's like you might be trying to take those steps, but they're not going anywhere. Or they're, you know, you might feel sort of listless, or like your actions aren't having an effect, the intended effect. You know, it's just sort of like a going nowhere feeling. So if that's, I just want to double check on that. You could feel stuck in a routine, bored of your surroundings, having a desire for a change of scenery. It could be working too hard, burnout, exhaustion, neglecting social life, needing to take more risks, you know, just sort of being dull and not taking risks. And so maybe this is a message to, like, I kind of at the beginning actually I was gonna just pithily say that with the oracle cards we pulled, like, your person needs to chill out on the overwork. You know, they just need to chill on how much they're trying to navigate their career goals, or, you know, prioritizing work, or it sort of almost look like flailing at work, like, you know, they're trying to, like, they're throwing spaghetti at the wall trying to see what sticks. And, you know, they need to temper that. They need to sort of take a step back from placing all their focus there, because it's causing these feelings in you, would be my interpretation. As usual, take what resonates. If it's not speaking to you, then, you know, let that part go and just take what does resonate. Ace of Swords, so it could be lack of clarity, it could be, you know, difficulty in communication, it can be deception, you know, if there's any sort of deception that's happened here. So the other thing that was coming through with the Ace of Swords and the Fool reversed, these two reversed, there might be an element here of, and just thinking back to those oracle cards for your person, it might be that there have been some errors in judgment. And those errors in judgment may have to do with the connection. They may have to do with you know, it sort of look like a work thing or a desire to, I just want to say flail again. So it looks like your person is prioritizing work over the connection, but not in a way that's actually effective for either. It's kind of what I'm getting. And so, you know, they're not like effectively pursuing their career and building that up in a way that could support your relationship or your interconnection with each other. It's almost like they're sort of making poor decisions in that area, and that's spilling over into this dynamic between you. That's kind of what I'm getting, and it's causing some deep dissatisfaction or just a lack of forward movement in the connection. And at the end here, and then so maybe this is a good time to bring at the bottom of the deck. So we have the Six of Cups in reverse. The Six of Cups is like a very sweet connection when it's upright, but in reverse, it's you know, it can be sort of like feeling disconnected, I would say. Let me just look at my cheat sheet. Inability to let go, clinging, stuck in the past. Those can all be Six of Cups. Unrealistic naivete. So yeah, that's kind of what's coming through. Your person might be unrealistic. It pains me to say that because I started out talking about them being potentially cheeky and identifying with that energy. So maybe they just have an unrealistic sense of what they can get away with, what they can, I want to say, like, they maybe have not clued into the effect that their flailing in other areas is having on you or on this connection. And, you know, that can be a lack of confidence, like when you overlook the fact that your actions have effects on other people. You know, it takes confidence to sort of come to that realization. You know, like sometimes we walk around feeling like we're in a vortex of our own energy, forgetting that the things we do have effects on other people. You know, it has an effect whether we have stated expressly that we want to be in a connection with somebody or not. You know, like it's, you know, we have this idea, I think, in Western culture that if we have made our autonomous, independent decision that we don't want to have a connection with somebody, let's say, and I'm not saying this necessarily applies to your situation, or if we've set our boundaries, whether you or your person, it's like if we've set those boundaries, then anything that is sort of outside of those boundaries doesn't count or shouldn't count. And like, you know, there's a kind of spiritual naivete to that, in that we have an effect on other people, whether the relationship is formalized, whether promises have been made, whether there's any sort of, you know, like, it's almost like we depend on our word is our bond in this culture. And that, again, you know, comes from, it's like a Christianity hangover. It's how I like to refer to those things, those parts of our culture. And, you know, that's a very defining part of our culture. Like, we have a system of law, you know, where like your verbal, literal words are considered, you know, your evidence in a court of law. And it's possible you might be considering or embroiled in legal proceedings with this person as well. And if so, it looks like they're maybe sort of going la 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 with their head in the sand, not quite able to face the reality of that situation. Whatever's going on, it seems like your person is not facing the reality of the effect that they're having on you, or even the idea that they could do things differently in a way that would not cause this connection to collapse or not cause you to be hurt. You know, because how to express this? So I'm not saying that and again, I'm not saying that it's your person setting boundaries or you setting boundaries. It looked more like you were setting boundaries. It's like everything to do with boundaries is sort of coming up. So boundaries are important. They keep us safe. They can be too strong and close off emotions. They can be a substitute for emotions, for feeling or feelings. They can shut people out. They can clearly define a relationship, but depending on or relying on boundaries can be naive. Relying on boundaries as the definition of where a person's allowed to feel hurt, I want to say, can be naive insofar as like everything we do affects other people. Everything we do affects other people. You know, we are not these discrete monads going through life with no effect on anything else around us unless we allow ourselves to affect it. Like, we affect everything with our choices, with our actions, with our breath, every moment of every day. And I feel like that is very well understood in collectivist cultures. I did live in Japan for a long time in my 20s and have Japanese Canadian family. And it's just like, it's in the same way that I'd say sex negativism is a part of our culture because of that sort of inheritance from Christianity. You know, the sort of judgment of people if they like sex, if they like to have sex with multiple partners. You know, it's like, we don't make it an STI issue or a health issue. We can sometimes, but it's almost like we're using that to sort of mask over this like sense that it's dirty. Like we refer to sex as, like, we literally use the word dirty to talk about sexual impulses or desires. There's nothing dirty about sex. I mean, you know, you can make it dirty. You can make it literally dirty if that's what you're into, but you know, like, bodily fluids are not dirty. Sexual desire is not dirty. You know, it's like the most pure, clean thing that, you know, can like come forth. It's creation. It's the condition of possibility for life. It's the condition of possibility for connection with other people. It drives us to connect. It drives us away from our monad, you know, self-contained boundaries into connection, into, you know, a place where we realize our accountability to other people. We realize that we're like in these interpersonal connections, you know, every moment of every day. And we can acknowledge that and hold compassion and, you know, while still knowing our own boundaries and requesting that they be adhered to and setting limits if they're not. But we can still, you know, while setting boundaries, we can still have compassion for other people and, you know, make decisions that are good for ourselves, but not necessarily punish other people with our boundaries. You know, there's what I was going to say at the sort of beginning. And so whether it's you doing this or you're a person, it's just coming up, like, been thinking about rejection. So for example, when a person expresses feelings, the other person's not into it, you know, these days, it seems like the trend du jour is to ghost people and to be like, you know, we talk about the ick, you know, that keeps coming up. And what's that absolutely fabulous show that's out now on Netflix? I can't remember what it's called, but you all know the one with the rabbi dating the shiksa. I love that actor. I also love the female actor. I think they're both pretty great. And the episode about the ick was so relatable. I feel like we've all been there. And the concept of, like, you know, that being a temporary psychological state that one could potentially do shadow work around and potentially get over is very... I've never thought of that as a state that there's any coming back from. And I guess that was the point of that episode. Anyway, we are not talking about Netflix right now. We are talking about you and your person and setting boundaries and just trying to walk myself back to whatever my last thought was before that tangent. Yeah, so I think it looks as if your person is naive to the effect that they're having on you, and maybe they've made some poor judgments that they did not think would affect you. It didn't occur to them that it would affect you, and yet it's affected you negatively. And so you have that choice whether to set boundaries, walk away, you know, hold compassion for them, send them compassion, send them love and kindness, love and kindness, while protecting yourself from that sort of flailing energy that they've got going on. Or whether to, try again with the communication. And I would say over here that what's happening is there's love here. I would say this person loves you. And I'm sorry that I've held that off for the entire reading. But, the cards held it off. And, if that's not resonating for you, it may be that there's new love coming in for you, because it is coming right at the end of this cycle here. But if what you are hoping for, wishing for, is a reconnection with your person, that's Ace of Cups energy. That's sort of like rekindling things, feeling the love again. So maybe there's like a wake-up call needing to happen. And, maybe you, they, both parties need to prioritize the relationship and sort of get back into that Ace of Cups excitement. Because it's there. It is there. It's not even back of the deck energy. It's there, present energy. And it's sort of like after all of this has been gone through, the feeling is there. Maybe it takes somebody walking away to remember those feelings. But the feelings themselves look like they're bringing you or them out of a hermit state where perhaps you've been sequestering away to kind of consider options, consider what the best course of action is. And, those feelings might be rekindling a feeling of wanting to reconnect, wanting to, or, connect with a new person, to sort of put yourself out there and get, walk away from this dissatisfying situation. And, there might be something new coming in right away that pulls you out of this sort of hermit state that, I want to say is going to be really fun, but it's also just like there's some good feelings and depth and like a potential to work on whatever it is, whether it's the same person or a new person. And yeah, and I would say very much stay open to your heart in terms of that, and create the space, the energetic space for the other person to do the same. And keep taking care of you. And, if there's any accountability that you need to take in the situation, certainly take it. And if part of that is letting your person know how their actions have affected you, maybe that's part of a conversation that needs to happen too. It could even be, this might be it could be part of a grieving process. If you're letting this go, it might be that you're sitting with these feelings of affection, love, and, maybe that's motivating you to come out of your hermitude, or to walk away from, maybe you've been sequestering away sort of in this relationship or pondering this relationship, and maybe you're feeling the call to like come back into new life for yourself. That could also be a possibility. So whichever of those resonates, I think we're going to leave it there, except that I did pull one little astro card for the last pile, and I think I want to do the same here. I'm feeling sort of guilty for being so irreverent at the beginning of this. So I apologize if my audacity was not aligned with where you were coming into this reading. Honestly, I really believe the solution to everything is more mischief. Isn't it? Isn't it though? Okay, Spirit, do you have any final advice? Any last information Pile 2 needs to know? We've got second house with resources. So it may be that resources are a preoccupation for your person. Second house is money. It's sort of how you make your own money. Maybe you need to focus on how you will make your own money coming out of a connection. Maybe you need to focus on that within a connection. And maybe that's the reason for your person's kind of flailing energy. Maybe there's some sort of survival panic there. If you don't have your base chakra attuned and in alignment, then you can't even move into the more creative energies of the second chakra, like that passion for life. You really have to have your survival locked in before you can venture into interconnection. It's tough. It's tough to, you know, like, you can have relationships with other people, but they will tend to remain surface, be short-lived, and ultimately not be very satisfying, because you're always going to be pulled back to that first chakra, you know, preoccupation of making sure that you've got things on lock. So yeah, so it looks like maybe the second house in resources is playing a bit more of a role than perhaps was evident at the beginning. And conversely, maybe a focus on resources could help improve the connection. So we'll leave it there. Please, I hope that resonated. I hope you're able to get something out of it. If you could please like the video, subscribe, come back for more. That would really help the channel. And I am trying to grow it in my plodding, sporadic way. Those are opposite things, but I think they both apply. Anyway, thanks for being here. Thanks for indulging my silliness in the beginning. And yeah, focus on your Ace of Cups. Focus on your heart and your resources, building resources. And we'll see you next time. Bye. Hi, Pile 3. Welcome to your reading. If you chose the Sagacious Owl, it looks from my angle like it's looking right up at you. It's like checking you out, Pile 3. Wanting to make sure you're on a good path or getting on a better one. It's got some words for you. Let's see what wisdom comes through. So I'm going to do an energy check-in. And I was just thinking about, I've already pre-shuffled, but I still feel like shuffling at least a couple of times on camera helps our brains, you know? Like, when I first started watching tarot readings, I spent a lot of time pausing and rewinding and just like wanting to check if it was bullshit. You know, literally wanting to see the continuity from like the shuffle to the pull of the cards. And whether the readers were like, whether any of them, I think I probably did it with every reader for that first little bit. I'm not suspicious-minded or anything. But I needed to sort of prove to myself that it was, and I'm not saying that I drew any conclusions because I really do hold everything as a hypothesis myself. But there was at least a possibility, a real possibility, that Spirit was speaking through the cards. And I do very much resonate with that perspective now. I do believe that that is what is occurring. But although it wasn't a conclusion then, it was something that I needed to know whether I should be holding open as a possibility. So, you know, as a hypothesis, I had to test it. I had to see if I could prove it false. And so anyway, so there was a bit of a shuffle before. There was a big shuffle before, and then a little bit of a shuffle on camera. And now we're doing this shuffle. Maybe, do you really want to prove it to your brain? Here, they're all different. See, they're all different. They're sticking together a bit. If I could fan them all out. I don't know why I felt compelled to share that, perhaps. Perhaps we have some Scorpios in this group. She says, and then takes the cards off camera. You can't see them. Okay. And just, you know, for extra security, let's do a little cut. And maybe one more shuffle. Oops, I took them off camera again, sorry. Apparently those ones are wanting to come out. We'll come back if they really do. Okay, so we're gonna do I'm sorry, I have a vitamin C in my mouth. We're gonna do an energy check-in for you. So Spirit, could you please tune in to pile 3's energy in this connection? What is in their highest good in this connection is what we're asking overall. And for now, we want to find out what their energy is in this connection right now. We're using the Starseed Oracle first off. And we'll be using the Mushroom Tarot, and I've also got the Seed and Sickle deck here. So, can we please... Oh. Pile 3, after all that discussion of Scorpio checks and balances, I'm throwing this back in. It'll come back out if it's meant to. I had to pause the video for a second. So we're gonna shuffle again. I trust that was Spirit saying your cards were not quite ripe yet. I may have to pause the video at points during this reading as well. As the overall reading is getting a little bit long, which is fine and I enjoy it, but the first one? Yeah, I think so. Okay. Spirit, please give us a card for pile 3's energy in this connection right now. What is pile 3's energy in this connection right now for the energy check-in? The energy check-in, if I didn't say already, is where you can get a sense of whether this is your pile. So if the energies resonate during the energy check-in, let's stick that one, then you know you're in the right place. And if it does not, then you might want to try a different pile in this reading, or you may want to try a different reading. Spirit, can we please get a card for pile 3's person in this connection? The person in pile 3's heart. I decided I'm going to say it that way from now on. I probably won't remember. But if I do, it could be a thing. It could be my thing. As I said in the last pile. I'm repeating my jokes. That's not a good sign. Okay. I have to pause the video. This is like some kind of cosmic joke and or invitation for you to get comfortable with the process. I was like, you know, bending over backwards to make sure I made sure that I shuffled again on camera. I explained the absence, why I had to stop the video. There shouldn't be any more anticipated breaks. And then I like reshuffled everything and I pulled the cards, and had I taken a split second to think about it, I could have maybe just pretended these ones didn't exist and reshuffled for you. But I now feel like I've pulled these cards and I need to make good on them. I was even like reading out from the guidebook, and then I don't even know. I was trying to download the videos, and I thought I had downloaded the videos and that we could go on our merry way. And I had recorded a little addendum for pile 2 really quickly and then came back to this. And anyway, here we are. So this is now a face reading. You'll just have to trust. So let's get into it. Okay, big picture thinking. For you, we have big picture thinking in the wonderfully alphabetized Starseed Oracle guidebook. Pleiades energy, visionary, inspired ideas. The Pleiadians are our cosmic cousins. They're here to remind us that it's never too late to learn new things and change the future. You're being called to be a visionary for the planet, to take a breath, shake off what you've been taught about the world, and hold a new vision for humanity. You're likely a natural big picture thinker, here to generate ideas for the future, here to birth a new age and dream a new world into being. The future will be woven by dream makers like you, by those with enough courage to question the way things have been and envision new possibilities for the planet. The world needs more artists, dreamers, inventors, and visionary thinkers. Perhaps you've had an idea recently that you're being called to usher in. If so, this card is your confirmation that it's divinely guided. The Pleiadians support us in this important stage in Earth's development. They want us to know that the decisions we make today will affect the well-being of our planet and all its species. They're calling on you to be a leader of the future, to hold a clear vision of what's possible, to trust that vision and follow it through with daily action, to dream a new world into being, to hold your mind open and try not to worry about what others think. For it takes great courage to pave a new path, to trust a vision before it's a reality. I love all the vision references in here. How are you being called to step up and lead? What new ideas or creations are you being called to pursue? So if that's resonating for yourself, then you may be in the right place for this reading. If you're feeling like you have to stretch that in any way, then it may not be your reading. And there's no shame in clicking off and finding, if you were feeling called maybe to another pile in this reading, you could go check that out and come back. Anyway, let's get into your person's energy and then you can decide. You can decide at any point you wish, as you can just click off if you so choose. But your person's energy, we've got the Great Severing, Mars energy, anger, conflict, and softening to love. This is a shadow card, one that may feel confrontational. Don't be afraid, it's here to bring to the surface anything that's standing in the way of letting love in. The warring planet of Mars is our constant reminder that it's important to soften, forgive, and find our way back to love. There are many things in the human experience that make it difficult for our heart and soul to stay open to the never-ending source of love. We're all wounded, and our unconscious wounds inflict wounds on others. It can feel like a never-ending dance we can never escape. If we aren't careful, before long we'll see the world as a scary, dangerous place where fear and anxiety roam free. If this card surfaces, it could be for two reasons. Firstly, for you to acknowledge the difficult emotions, situations, conflicts, wounds, and fears that are causing you pain and anxiety. And secondly, for you to find your way back to love. And so where it says you, this is of course referring to your person, the person you hold in your heart. When we're hurt, it's normal to close off our heart to the world, to let the painful experience confirm the agony of separation in earthly life. Soften and find your way back to love anyway. So your person needs to soften and find their way back to love. Or rather, it's recommended that they do. They don't need to do anything. They can do whatever they want. When fear, anxiety, and paranoia paralyze you, it's normal to want to hide away from others and the world. Come out of your cave and soften your heart anyway. We're all innocent children spinning our way around the world. Find a way to see the innocence in all people, especially yourself. How are you cutting yourself off for love? How can you soften toward those who have hurt you? So that was your person's energies. So again, that might be resonating. This one seems like you have things going on that are well beyond this connection. You got some, a sense of mission and purpose here on this earth, and your person is processing some wounding that seems like it's maybe holding them back from this connection. Ooh, look at these beautiful chanterelles. Oh my goodness. See, I know my mushrooms now. Well, I know like 5. I actually harvested mushrooms for the first time and ate them all up. Well, I didn't. I dried some of them. I put them in oil as well. But we ate a few and we are still here to tell the tale. Daisy. Spring isn't the only time for a flurry of creativity. Daisy, the day's eye, is a vivacious little hard worker who makes sure her flowers are in season practically all year round. And I should add, the feminization of this flower can apply to any gender. So it might be talking about feminine energy, but that doesn't mean that it's talking about only female-bodied people, or even any female-bodied people necessarily. Opt in, opt out as you so choose. All gender is drag, in my opinion. A second wind of productivity is on the horizon, and it's not too late to make the most of it. Take a deep breath and get ready. It's time to make something beautiful. And for your person, we've got aconite. Aconite is a scholar's plant, always hungry for knowledge and the power that comes with learning. Through its wisdom, it turned the maiden Arachne into a spider and taught the first werewolves the power of transformation. You've made it, your person that is, you've made it as far as you can with the expertise you already possess. Now it's time to assess the gaps in your knowledge and focus on filling them in. A new class, hobby, or experience will be a rewarding opportunity for you to further yourself and become a wiser you. So right away here, I'm seeing that it's almost, I don't want to say that you're like on another level from your person, but you definitely have a light worker feeling to you. And your person feels like they might be on the way to that journey, but right now they're in the shadow processing, or they're in a shadow processing phase. If they are, maybe they are on the light worker journey as well, where they're having to process some stuff that I'm getting the sense that it's coming in from before your connection. If it's coming in, if this is referring to something that has happened in your connection, then, maybe they're in a pause right now where they need to do that processing. Anger doesn't go away on its own. You have to sit with it. You have to feel it. You have to let it, you have to find out what it's trying to teach you. Conflict is, letting go of conflict is a choice. I don't know that conflict necessarily is a choice. Sometimes we conflict without any intention to do so. Sometimes it just kind of bubbles up, but letting it go is certainly something that we can consciously choose, and it's difficult to let it go without making that conscious choice to do so. Softening to love, as the description said, this is the shadow work that has to sort of happen in order to soften to love. And then with aconite, it's sort of saying, I don't know if you can see, but this is a skull with amazing antlers, and it's got an arrow through the head. And so I assume and there's a key up here, a wisdom, divine wisdom, feminine wisdom, kind of moon key. So still, some shadow work happening here, but it looks as if this would be the feelings, sort of the feelings, the intention, and then this is like the work that they're doing in processing and sitting with those feelings and moving towards new learning. So maybe the learning is about what's happening over here, or maybe it's, prompting them to sort of open up in a new way and pursue some interest or knowledge that they've, been curious about. So softening to love, softening to learning. Maybe you're the catalyst for this. Maybe this person is sort of, this looks like a lot of light and this looks like a lot of shadow. And I say this with, no judgment. I'm not saying that you're on a higher level, than your person. But it's really interesting how it's complementing. And, light and shadow go together. You can't have shadow without light. You can't have, I guess you can have shadow without, light without, what am I trying to say? When there's a lot of light, it creates shadows. It illuminates shadows. And, those shadows you might just walk about not seeing them until you encounter the light. And that can be a really humbling process for us all, and it can go the other way. I'm not saying that this will always be you and this will always be your person. Like, you could flip in that dynamic, perhaps have, and, we all have our light and we all have our shadows. But it seems like at this moment, you're in this sort of moving humanity forward with sort of a devotional optimism phase, and your person is kind of just pulling back and de-armoring in order to move forward. That's what I'm getting from the oracles. We haven't even gotten into the tarot yet. Let's see what the tarot has to say about it all. But in any event, if that feels like it's resonating without you having to try too hard to make it fit, then you are in the right place. And I promise to shuffle on screen. I don't know why this is even a thing, why it's feeling so important to me, but it is. It wasn't a thing in the first two piles or any other readings so far. Let's just double check we're recording. We are. Great. Oh dear. Boxes are falling. All right. Spirit, please tune me into what is in the highest good of pile 3 in this connection with the person in their heart. Whoa. We have some stubborn cards for this one. I actually suddenly realized I had an obligation and thought I was going to have to run away and finish this tonight, but we have time now. This has been a long one. I'm only taking them off screen because I have to like balance them against my belly. Sure, this time I won't. Cut. Oh, 4 cuts. Oh, 5 cuts. Oh, we're getting fancy now. Oh, we left a card behind. Okay. Spirit, what is in the highest good of pile 3 in respect to this connection? Okay, 4 of Swords in reverse. Do you guys want to get mushroomy? Do you want me to like look up the mushroom meanings? I'm not sure if I've got it in me after all this, but if you're curious about any particular card, let me know and I'll say the names of the mushrooms and you can look them up as well. But if you want me to put anything in the comments to do with the mushrooms now or anytime in the future, if I see the comment, I will certainly do that. Okay, Spirit, what else have we got for pile? What is in the highest good of pile 3 in this connection with the person on their mind and in their heart? We have the 4 of Cups. What is in the highest good of pile 3 in this connection with your person? That's 2 4s. So 44 might be a thing. We've got the Ace of Swords. We've got 4 swords, 4 swords. That's interesting. Could we please, that was Ace of Swords parasol. Could we please get a clarifier for the 4 swords in reverse, Spirit? Clarifier for the 4 of swords in reverse. We have the Hermit. Could we please get a clarifier for the Knight of Swords? Clarifier for the Knight of Swords. We have the Star. Clarifier for the Four of Cups. Well, that was fast. Hangman in reverse. Clarifier for the Ace of Swords. I love it when they pop out. Oh no. That was too many, but only one of them's facing up. All right, we'll take it. Page of Wands. Okay, so are we recording? We are. All right, so what I'm seeing is that you have perhaps taken a pause. Either you have taken a pause or you're being called to take a pause. But the energy is more about coming out of the pause. So it looks to me as if you have already been taking a pause and in this connection. And, you know, maybe you've been, maybe you know, have put a pause on communication between yourself and this person. Maybe they've done that with you. And so I'm kind of hesitating here because we've got a card that suggests coming out of a pause, and then we've got a card that suggests taking a pause. And so it's sort of like it's time to come out and then you're going in. And it might be that you're being called to reflect on coming out of the pause. Maybe that's what it is. And so you need to sort of check in with your own intuition and see if it's time to come out of that maybe out of a no contact situation. And that answer is only going to come from your own intuition and requires some soul searching and connecting in with yourself through whatever modalities you do that. At the very least, taking some time for self and enough time that you can have a bit of a check-in with your own heart, your own desires, and where you want to take this next. And conversely, over here, we've got some rushing energy. So it's sort of like you're coming out of the pause and you're rushing in, or someone is rushing in, but there's a call to just slow down and reflect. Okay, so I said I was going to read out the mushrooms. So we've got snow fungus for the Four of Swords. We've got artist conch. And we've got, for the Knight of Swords, we've got the zombie ant fungus. If you're familiar, you're familiar. If you have never heard of the zombie ant fungus, it basically is a fungus that colonizes ants and takes over their motor control, essentially zombifying them. And so it controls their body movements, and I can't remember exactly the details, but somehow it assures its own procreation through controlling the ants' bodies. The ants are alive, but they have no control of their own motor skills. Only the fungus does. And, you know, the fungus obviously is not an animal. It's not an intelligence in the same way that we think of animals as being. It's not an intelligence that I'd say, it's not an intelligence that I intuitively understand. Maybe you do. Maybe you are a mushroom person and resonate with that. I mean, I'm a little bit of a mushroom person, but not to the point of understanding them. I don't really understand what they are or how they tick. And I know the scientific explanations of all that. I just don't, connecting in with like the essence of mushroom, like it's just kind of a blank, it's like a blank spot in my intuitive knowing, shall we say. Like, what are they? What do they want? I think they mainly just are about connecting, if I had to guess. So anyway, the zombie ant fungus is an interesting choice for the Knight of Swords. So the Knight of Swords is sort of like, it's calling out the impulsivity that can be in the Knight of Swords. The Knight of Swords can be, you know, really great communication, sort of taking action after a pause, like getting back into a connection, communicating, like getting it done. But it can also be sort of hasty communication, or just like impulsive, without rushing in, without thinking things through. And the Rider-Waite, it's like, on a horse galloping full throttle. And it's not necessarily, there's not necessarily a lot of forethought going into that action. It's just like jumping in before the thought has happened or can happen. Even though it's the suit of swords, which is the element is air, and it is kind of a mental suit in terms of intellectualizing, thinking things through analytically, communicating verbally. But the Knight is sort of like jumping past all the analysis and just rushing right in. And the Star, of course, we've got Golden Reishi for the Star. And it's sorry, so the tie into the zombie ant fungus may be that it's pulling out the impulsive sort of, zombie-esque quality of rushing in before there's thought or reflection. So here there's a call to reflection, here there's rushing without reflection. And it looks to me as if what's being rushed towards is wish fulfillment, is renewing hope in this connection, is, the pursuit of a wish-fulfilling, strong connection with your person. And, maybe your person comes to you with, some kind of offer or some kind of communication, and then it's sort of like you ought to be perhaps slowing down and reflecting before you come out of that no contact situation or whatever rest or pause was happening. But instead it looks like you're rushing in to fulfill your wishes or their wishes, or there's some kind of like rushing in happening here. And I feel like I say things 16 times. I'm gonna have to become just a little bit more pithy. Maybe from being a parent. Or just like really, wanting to communicate, especially with swords energy happening. It's like I really want to make sure my point is coming across. I'm sure it is. Okay, 4 of Cups. We've got white basket fungus. And I'm not familiar with that one, but the 4 of Cups is generally about, I see it as a sign of, or a card of taking present circumstances for granted, overlooking what's right in front of you, failing to appreciate what's right in front of your nose. And it can be, when you're sort of feeling malaise or dissatisfaction, you're bored, you're indifferent, you just are, it's like there's gifts right in front of you. It'd be interesting to look up the white basket fungus in the book. But with the traditional cups, it's like 4 cups of the elixir, and there's one spilled over, and it's sort of like that person drank the 1 cup and it was too much for them, and they're not interested in drinking the other 3 cups. And so, rather than pacing themselves, or I don't know, it's like they are taking for granted what's being offered, that they have access to these 3 other beautiful cups, rather than like bottling them up and saving them for tomorrow or whatever. They just kind of expire under a tree and don't move. And so it can refer to like all of the kind of, I'd say, ego-based meanings of, dissatisfaction, boredom, indifference, apathy. But I would say under that, there's really a note of like a lack of gratitude, a lack of awareness, taking a person, I would say in this case, for granted. Like, okay, here's my rant. Are y'all ready? The rant of the moment. I'm not promising it's the only rant. So if you really think through, I've probably said this in tarot card readings before, but if you really think through, I've definitely said it out loud to friends, like to every close friend I've ever had. If you think through the infinitesimally tiny chance of being present in the same place as another person at the same time and looking them in the eyes let's just take that as an example, or whatever connection you have with them, like the chances of that moment happening relative to the whole span of the universe, spatially and temporally, like tempora? I'm not sure why I said temporally. I'm definitely getting tired. From several hours of reading tarot cards. And also there was so much else going on all morning, and it's sort of like the second it was quiet enough to actually read tarot, it's like I deflated. And it's suddenly so eerily quiet that I'm like the wind's picking up right now, and I'm kind of grateful for it. And I finally, like, I've got the dryer back on, so there's like a couple of background sounds that are pulling me out of my own stillness. But it was almost like I was sinking into this Four of Cups energy. Not that I'm, feeling apathetic about the reading or anything. I'm not at all. But I was feeling like I'm not sure what gifts I have to deliver, or, I'm not, it doesn't feel like, I was like feeling like I needed to reconnect with my own flow in terms of like verbally producing the words. And maybe that's all something that's going on for you or for your person at this time. Maybe that's an energy that's coming through. Definitely, all three readings have had very different energy. The first one was very sort of, I'd say, I'll just say spiritual in nature. I felt very, like it was clear. And then the second one was like, started out really like energetic, and then sort of became, it was almost like I got checked during the reading. And then I had to like back up and be accountable. And then in this one, it's more like, I'm having trouble sort of synthesizing. And, that's not unusual for me. But the first two readings, it was like I knew what to say really easily. Okay, so Four of Cups. So, but then we've got the Hangman in reverse. So again, it's like the same thing. It's like opposite energies. So we've got like the pause, and then we've got coming out of the pause. The Hangman in reverse can also, as reversals can, they can all refer to kind of the negative the negative aspects of the card, as well as like reversing the negative aspects of the upright position. Hi, Dusky. I just don't want you on the table right now. You're so cute, and I'm sure people would love to see your cuteness, but I just don't want you getting singed. That's fair, right? Standstill, stalemate, victim mentality, stagnation, no forward movement. Or integration. Wait is over, stalling's at an end. Realizing that what you believed was a fact is just a belief that can be changed. Or it could be being uncomfortable with changes or feeling indecisive. That's the Hangman in reverse. So, sort of like there's something being overlooked, and then there's this energy of like, not sure if like feeling indecisive about coming out of that Four of Cups energy, feeling indecisive about whether to accept those gifts, the bounty that is on offer. And at the same time, there might be a waking up to the fact that the perception of what is being offered in this Four of Cups situation, it's not that the Four Cups are in any way bad or, yucky, or I don't know, I'm like trying to come up with like descriptive words for drinking a substance that one has drunk and then no longer wishes to drink, because that is the Four of Cups metaphor. So like, it's like something that in other circumstances might be really appreciated, but the Four of Cups person is like just really overlooking its value. There you go. Lack of value, overlooking, taking for granted, failing to value what is there in front of you. And So with the Hangman in reverse, there's this message of, you know, maybe still being in that energy a bit, but also having the potential to realize that that was a belief. It wasn't anything to do with what was actually being offered. You know, it was a perception, a clouded perception. And so, you know, if your person's able to like maybe do the shadow work of this hangman position, hangman in reverse position, then, you know, there's a possibility of like reevaluating, like realizing that this is actually, I want to look at the mushroom meaning. Maybe that'll help clarify. Or I could get a clarifier. But I do want to get through this, and then maybe we'll go back and get a clarifier. Four of Cups. Let's see what the white basket fungus is all about. The Crow Tarot book has everything laid out backwards. Like it goes from like king to ace. I know I'm looking at this book as if it's backwards. White basket fungus. Bursting forth from a protective egg sac, this fungus twists into an odorous cage-shaped form. Maori folklore associates them with the Waitiri, I'm definitely not saying that right, the thunder goddess, as they often appear after thunderstorms. Think of this card's message less like the bars of confinement and more like load-bearing support beams in a cozy, safe space. That's really interesting. But is it edible? That's all I think when I look at mushrooms now. Is it edible? What does it taste like? How do you cook it? Upright. Meditation, set limits, boredom. Spiritual contemplation and emotional limits have been set. Don't be afraid to say no if your cup is already too full. This card may also indicate boredom or stasis. Why don't we get the hangman meaning while we're at it? As this book does have reversals. 12. I kind of want to go back to the Hermit now, since we're here. This one says, a natural canvas for the mycological artist, the pale underside of the artist conch can be used like scratchboard art to create sepia-toned illustrations. Ooh, cool. Smoke from this bracket fungus has been used as an insect repellent, and tea from its fruiting bodies has been made into cancer-fighting medicine. Oh, wow. That was artist conch. This hermit-like, humble, dull brown mushroom is often found in quiet nooks and mossy crannies. I got a mossy cranny or two myself. Sorry, I had to. Inner work, introspection, analysis, self-discovery. You can be alone without being lonely. Okay, and let's jump over to the hangman. And the mushroom is velvet shank. Like the tarot card it's associated with, this mushroom can be found hanging, usually from chilly branches in winter when most other mushrooms are dormant. The sticky-top velvet shank mushroom thrives thanks to its natural antifreeze chemicals. No matter what angle velvet shanks grow at, their caps quickly reorientate themselves to grow perpendicular to the ground for optimum spore dispersal. This phenomenon is known as gravitropism. Oh my goodness. Pile 3. If you came here for nothing else, you got the word gravitropism out of this reading. Oh my god, that's the coolest word I ever heard. That's got to be my new business name. Gravitropism. Oh goodness. Can I rebrand right after I rebranded? Upright. No, not upright. Reversed. Clinging to the past. Resistance. Delays. Like debris clinging to a sticky mushroom cap, the reversed hangman suggests you are holding on to the past or fighting against letting go of something that no longer serves you. This resistance can cause unnecessary delays in reaching your goal. I mean, we've got like the message that if you jump in, if you go fast, you're going to be zombified, acting from like programming. There you go, programming. The Knight of Swords card here is about acting out unconscious programming and feeling powerless to do otherwise, perhaps. And I feel like it's rushing towards wish fulfillment. But on the other hand, it could be that taking action, you know, the more traditional Knight of Swords meaning or communication, could lead to wish fulfillment. How's that for ambiguity? Which one is it? It's like, no, yes, no. What have we got over here? I think we've got probably a yes, and then we've got a yes. Overall, the balance would be yes. I do love that they line themselves up in neat columns like that. Sometimes, I mean, it's making it hard to read it right now. As opposed to like, let's just be a little irreverent. We can like switch things around a little bit. Like if we did like that, then it would be like, you're coming out of a pause and it's going to be great. And, you know, if you're rushing in, then maybe slow down and pause. If you're feeling apathetic, then reignite your, you know what I'm saying? Oh, now what have I done? That was there. I'm pretty sure we got it right. See, what other tarot readings can you go to where the tarot card reader's like, I'm just going to switch it up. I'm just going to change all the meanings. Spirit's not in charge, I'm in charge. I have a friend whose voice is in my head right now who just, anytime you tell this person that they should do something a particular way, they just kind of whip around and they're like, I do what I want. In this very cute, you know, charming childlike voice. I think you have to be that person to get away with it. It is nothing other than charming and cute. But, I mean, it's, you know, a little spicy and pointed. But there's no way one could take offense to it, I don't think. At least I don't. I find it adorable. Okay. So then with Ace of Swords, I apologize if I'm rambling or going off topic. I'm just like, I want to say I'm petering out, but I don't really feel like I fully am. I feel like it's the energy in this reading. Sometimes the mushroom deck has that effect on me. Like I think it's all the dark colors, like the black background. I don't know what the artistic reason for that is. I mean, they're beautiful. They're like artistically framed and everything. But it just, there is definitely like a kind of darkness that comes through with these cards. You know, some of them grow at night, I guess, but you know, a lot of them grow in the daytime too, and you can find them in the daytime and you can see them in the daytime and appreciate their colors in the daytime. But anyway, I gather it's because we're trying to tap into the mysteries of the mushroom. And I'm not trying to mock that. I legitimately feel like that's what's happening here. I keep going back to the zombie ant fungus. Like, it's so terrifying if you really start thinking about it. Okay, don't think about it. Okay. Ace of Swords. The Ace of Swords, the parasol is the name of that mushroom. Let's continue with the guidebook, because I feel like things are not very clear to start with, so it's not like, I mean, I know the meanings of the Ace of Swords, but why don't we see what this particular mushroom is calling out within that meaning? And maybe that will give us a jumping off point. This Ace card indicates that you can overcome any obstacles in your way. See, we just needed a little encouragement here. Can you see that? It looks like it's got some ginkgo leaves blowing by, and there's a sword down here, ready to be seized in a hand that looks a little too tiny for the hand to grasp it, but the hand's grasping the mushroom, which is shedding spores. Kind of looks like it's grabbing a parasol to protect against the spore rain, but also the sleeve is made out of spores. Humans are so cool. This is, you know, like, AI art is cool too. It's a little too shiny for my taste thus far. I'm sure that will shift over time, but, and there's like a cool kind of random quality to it, you know, putting things together that humans might not think to, but there is definitely something to human intuition in the creation of art. Hi, Kazi. Oh, he just literally put his paw on my back and he's like, me, pay attention to me. He's less demanding than his brother, and so he doesn't get nearly as many cuddles. because really there's 6 creatures in this house and I just am paying attention to the loudest one at the best of times. He would be the quietest. Actually, the dog might be the quietest, although he's got his own ways. He's, you know, got his head on my feet right now, which is like we communicate through touch, I think, a lot more than purrs, don't we? Right, Cosy? He doesn't necessarily, he has a strong connection with one of my kids. But he's been like, he's kind of like the beta cat for a long time. And I've been really working to assure him that it's an egalitarian household. There's no alpha, there's no beta. We're all alpha. Yes, we are. Yes. We can all be the alpha. It's a collaborative alpha affair. Yeah. I don't like hierarchies. No, I do not. Okay, where were we? This ace card indicates that you can overcome any obstacles in your way. The parasol mushroom soars above other fungi in terms of stature as well as edibility. Really, I've never heard of it. Open your mind and release your ideas like spores from this commendable vantage point. I was going to say commanding. And I was going to say commendable. Upright. Beginnings, decisions, assertiveness. A new journey that will require cleverness and mental aptitude lies before you. The path may be a bit bumpy, but the ace card encourages you to gather fortitude. And then we have the Page of Wands. Modified by the Page of Wands, which is the pink burn cup, which has a little frog and a ladybug. And like, this looks like it's oozing, dripping, but it's almost like psychedelic in there. It looks like it's lit up. Like almost like amber with a light shining through it. The Page of Wands represents limitless potential, reunions, and good news. The pink burn cup similarly represents renewal in precious, bright pink gatherings emanating from burnt soil. Their appearance brings with them the chance of a flush of desirable burn morals. That's morals, M-O-R-E-L. Yes. Desirable burn morals. Oh my goodness. I love that phrase. Brings with them the chance of a flush of desirable burn morals. There's something delicious in those words. Upright. Creativity, potential, inspiration. An idea is conceptualized in your vigorously creative mindset. You are in a fertile environment full of seeds of inspiration and potential, so don't be afraid to go for it. And then the Six of Wands, of course, is success. So there's definitely like, yes. It's like, yes, yes, yes. Red chanterelle, Six of Wands. A departure from what you're familiar with can be scary, but can also deliver great rewards. Celebrate new experiences like this rarer, spicier cousin of the common golden chanterelle. Golden and red chanterelles mingle in fiery colors on the forest floor in a blaze of harmony. Upright. Celebration, progress, pure appreciation. Celebrate the success you've attained so far. Recognize your achievements and thank those who have helped you. Allow kind words from your peers to burn away any weariness. Well, I'm just thinking back to the Oracle cards. I think that's the piece that's missing here. Whew, I'm feeling energy now. Okay, so more caffeine, please. Is this not a lovely cup? Isn't that cool? All right. So it's just these two. I'm struggling. And then the zombie ant combined with the star. Maybe following an how do you say that? Automatonic, is that it? Maybe following some automatonic programming will lead to your wish fulfillment. Or maybe just getting your mind out of the way. Oh, there you go. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Letting your body be driven by your co-pilot, by your unconscious co-pilot. Oh, that's good. We got it. We got there. will lead to wish fulfillment. And if there's something that you're feeling apathetic about within this journey towards your person or reunion with your person, you know, if there's something that you're just like, meh, then there's a mindset shift that needs to happen. Oh my goodness, see, there you go, we got there. Thank you, Kazi, for bringing your lovely energy in. It helped. And thank you, Takea, for being so sweet. Your lovely energy too. It's grounding me. And so Six of Wands can be the card of, it refers to success. It's sort of like the dude on the horse riding in with, you know, all the accolades, and like he won a battle and now he's coming home to the adoring crowds. You know, probably it'd be like Mick Jagger on a modern, or like the Beatles or something. Who is it now? Taylor Swift. Oh, that's funny. There needs to be a Taylor Swift tarot. Oh my god, can somebody please create that? That'd be very funny. Oh my god, she's got so many different personas. That would be easy. Taylor Swift should create the Taylor Swift tarot, obviously. If she hasn't already. Maybe she has, maybe it exists. Oh my god. I wouldn't necessarily need to have her on it, but I mean, why not? But, you know, it could be like the song names. Oh my goodness, that's so good. Taylor Swift, you heard it here first. Wow. I should edit this part of the video out and sell that to Taylor Swift's media empire. I'm slightly mad at her for not saving the election. Weren't the Swifties supposed to save the election? I mean, it's not their fault, obviously. It's not on them. That a wackadoodle. Anyway, let's stay focused, shall we? Okay. So the Six of Wands, my point was that the Six of Wands can refer to public recognition of a connection. So, you know, if this is a connection that's been in the closet or has been sort of hesitantly pursued up to now, then it may be that what is needing to happen, going to happen, or like is in the background of like the holding back, might be this specter of public recognition. So, you know, usually if a relationship has been formalized and is like strong and committed, and I use committed in the sense of, you know, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's heteronormative or it looks like, you know, like a normative marriage, or, you know, it doesn't necessarily have to be on anybody's terms but yours and your partner's. But if it's, you know, a situation where two people have said, yes, let's do this, we're into each other, then usually that is the point where, you know, you will be public with your affections for each other, and that is what this card can refer to. Holy, I'm just tripping over my words in this one. I even like paused for a little snack back there to replenish, and I only had 2 bites, of course, but yeah, so I see some like holding back, and I see some like urge to go forward, and I think the urge to go forward is actually, I think you're in your own self's way, to quote that same friend. My cute, adorable, sassy friend. You know, you got to get out of your own self's way. You're holding yourself back, and there's a mindset shift that needs to happen. And if it happens, then you've got some great success ahead. Like these 3 cards together are speaking of great things. So is the Star. And I would have ordinarily associated the Knight of Swords with that as well, like any of the Knights. You know, it's forward action, movement, momentum. Maybe these are things that I love that maybe other people love the pauses, but I feel like the pauses, hesitation, slowness, slowing down is like the thing that we need to like, it's like the shadow work that we need to like do and then excise, because it holds us back. Hesitation, I feel, is the opposite of godhood there. Meditate on that one. Sometimes in these readings I have moments of wondering if AI bots are going to scrape all my words and then are going to release aphorisms like hesitation is the opposite of godhood, and that will become like, you know, a guiding phrase for humanity for the next 500 years, as spoken by a robot that we don't necessarily know is a robot. Maybe I'm a robot. Maybe I'm a robot. Maybe you are a robot. Oh, jeez. That was my dryer. But I think the machines are on to us. If not for the machines, you wouldn't be seeing this reading right now, and I wouldn't be making utterly inane phrases like the one I just uttered. Okay, anyway, so yeah, go for it. I think that's the ultimate lesson. Just, you know, get your mind out of there. Like, if you're in analysis paralysis about the situation, you know, focus in on your heart, focus in on what do you wish for? What do you hope for from this person? You know, like, you're over there saving the world, and I don't just mean saving the world, I mean like shifting the world's vibration to a higher vibration. And that is wonderful and beautiful. And then you have your partner who might be intimidated as fuck about it, you know, like they might just be really not sure what to make of you, really not sure that they're like entitled to hold your hand. And, you know, maybe you're not sure that they're entitled either. Maybe you're like, I don't know if this person's on my level. And, but I do see wish fulfillment. I do see just a lot of beautiful energy here with diving in. So I don't know, I'd say that's what's in your highest good in this connection. Let's do I've been playing the Astro cards. Is that what we want to do here? I'm trying not to just follow scripts, but brain capacity is reducing moment by moment here. So this feels like a good thing. Spirit, could we please have one more? It's funny, I did not get I deliberately resisted getting channel messages in one of the last readings. Didn't think of it in the other one, but I'm kind of tempted with this one. Shh, you can't tell piles 1 or 2. If we get channel messages from your person, you gotta keep it a secret. I actually really don't believe in secrets. I think they, especially like asking children to keep secrets, there's all kinds of creepy about that. Unless it's to do with Christmas presents. Or birthday presents, you know. Maybe that was a bit of an overshare. Never mind. I mean, overshare RS, that's kind of that's my brand. There you go. I really would, you know, prefer to speak quite openly about my life and my thoughts. There are numerous things that hold me back from that. Some of them have had to do with blocks and shyness. I don't think those are really such a factor at this point. You know, fear of criticism for sure is still there. Fear of judgment, negative judgment. Okay. But on the other hand, when we hold back, we deprive the world of our gifts. And I don't mean to suggest that the world is deprived by not having my gifts in it, but, you know, I do kind of think that's the truth for all of us. We all have gifts, and if we're holding ourselves back from pursuing our joy and our passions, even in a time-limited sense, you know, like who knows how long we'll continue this venture. I hope to get to 1,000 subscribers by May 2025. Not really quite there yet. Although we're almost at 50. That's a hard 50 to earn, man. Woman, non-binary person. It is. It's such a slow climb. I have a Twitch page for another venture, and getting those first 100 people was it's so hard. It's like an arduous, you know, almost like active begging. And I haven't really begged too much for this one, Because quite frankly, if people are not feeling it, I don't necessarily want them here. You know, I don't want to be like broadcasting my thoughts to people who are going to be uncharitable in their responses. Not that anyone on in my networks would be uncharitable. I select people specifically for their compassion. Compassion and curiosity. Oh my. Okay, I completely forgot that I was shuffling for a purpose. Whoa. And then a card was like, can we just move this along, please? Thanks, Spirit. It just like, you could not possibly have seen that, but I was doing a bridge shuffle and it just went bloop and flew right out onto the floor. Violently, almost. We have Ascendant entrance. That's kind of sexy. For those of us over 18, which everyone should be accessing this reading. Ascendant. Not because I think that energy should only be accessible by people over 18, but because the law thinks so and YouTube thinks so. Therefore, those are the rules of the playbook. Although I don't necessarily think that don't necessarily think the opposite of that before I get myself into some trouble. I think they are wise rules. Let's just leave it there. Ascendant, doo-dee-doo-dee-doo. Ascendant, doo-dee-doo-dee-doo. If you can name the tune I'm humming, you're definitely a parent. Do-do-do, doo-dee-doo-dee-doo. Do-do-do, doo-dee-doo-dee-doo. It's from Alpha Blocks. Ascendant entrance. In a natal chart, the ascendant tells a story about how you walked into this life at your birth and how you walk into any new situation. It describes the door through which you see the world and how it describes the door through which you see the world and the world sees you, your filter system, and hints at your awakening consciousness. The ascendant, also known as the rising sign, describes the degree of the zodiac just coming up over the eastern horizon at the moment and place of your birth. Action. How do you see the world? Take a long look at the assumptions and presumptions through which you filter your experience of reality. Really look at how your privilege, trauma, or certain attributes of your history can distort the reality of the moment. Do what you can to dismantle those obstructions so you can see the whole view. Open that aperture. Oh my goodness. I don't think they meant that to sound sexy, but it really did. What was that? What fell? Oh, we lost a stone. Conversely, look carefully at the signals you send off. Do they match your intent? Do you say you're fine when you really need a hug? Are you trained to sound modest or apologetic when really you know what you're doing? Check. Right here. Me. Do you act like you know what you're doing when you don't? Not I. Mostly act like I don't know what I'm doing when I do. Notice what you project onto the world, and I imagine that's quite gendered, eh? Notice what you project onto the world and take responsibility for how you are seen. That's an intriguing statement because how you are seen is not necessarily in your control. But what you project onto the world is definitely within your control. To an extent. I suppose it depends what your ascendant is, really. The ascendant is where you become visible. If this makes you nervous, investigate what needs to be healed or where you need to grow your confidence in order to feel comfortable being seen. If you're asking about a project, look for what needs to be repaired or improved before you hold a press conference. Look for what needs to be impaired or improved before you hold a... No, sorry, over here. Look for what needs to be impaired or improved before you hold a press conference. The front door is only one part of the house. Be willing to look beyond appearances and into the heart. But don't count on others' ability to do so too. Over time, your reputation is built on what you do, not how you look. I think it's referring to that because of the ascendant. Your ascendant sign can refer to your physical body and your appearance. Yeah. Ascendant. This is a really beautiful card. The colors are really beautiful, and I just need to stop rambling and probably end the reading now. But it looks to me like there's beginning energy, and there is encouragement to focus on, like, if this is what's going on for you, this is like the prism, like the filter through which the light is being directed at all of this, if that makes sense. And so your ascendant sign, and I was going to say house, but no, not house, just sign, because the ascendant is the beginning of the first house always in every chart. I say that, but there's other house systems where it's not actually. But it's, I think it is always, I want to say always in the first house. I could potentially be wrong about that because I'm not familiar with all house systems, so there might be some wacky stuff out there that I'm not familiar with. But generally speaking, the ascendant has a lot to do with the first house. And the sign that it is in is as it says, your filter. I really hope there's enough useful words in these like 3 hours of rambling that I'm able to put together a video. So, for example, where I'm going with this is my ascendant is Scorpio. And I noticed that line in the book about, like, you know, if you're ashamed of I didn't quite say that, but, you know, if it gives you misgivings to imagine other people perceiving you as whatever your ascendant sign is. I mean, that phrase was definitely written for Scorpios. I feel possibly for Virgo ascendants as well. And, you know, otherwise, like, most ascendant signs will be quite proud of their, you know, ascendant sign, generally speaking. And, you know, so if there's something about, like, whereas so Scorpio is the sign of, like, sex, death, and madness, I was gonna say, but sex, death, and money, sex, death, and taxes. It's known for its intensity. It is perceived by others, I say with some defensiveness and a chip on my shoulder, to be a sign of, like, sort of, you know, quick to sting. And, you know, Scorpio can sting, but Scorpios are usually very wise, compassionate old souls who just, they look you in the eye and they see through you. You know, they just don't, it's not even that it's like, I think people feel judged and like, oh, you're judging me for being superficial. You think I'm superficial. And it's like, I didn't say that. I didn't think that, you know, you're looking in the mirror, my friend. Like, they can be perceived as being judgmental. They can be judgmental, to be fair. But they generally see through masks. But they're perceived by those who do not see through masks quite as well to be very intense, very sort of focused on, even on you know, low vibrational energy. That definitely could be a perception of the sign of Scorpio. You know, how many times have I said the word desire in this reading today in all 3 piles? Particularly in one of them. Was that the first one? But, you know, and I've waxed on about sex negativism and, you know, things like that. And that's also a very Scorpio trait, is to be, I won't say sex positive necessarily, but to have a strong, intense relationship with sexuality, with not being shy about sexuality, being overt about sexuality in a way that maybe others find distasteful or displeasing or just embarrassing. Scorpio doesn't really get embarrassed, I'd say, in the same way that other signs do. Like, Scorpio's it's actually a very grounded sign, really. It's a water sign, but it's very connected to being rooted in reality. Anyway, we don't need to keep talking about Scorpio, but whatever your ascendant sign is, if you don't know your ascendant, you can go to a site like astro.com is a personal favorite. They're really quite excellent. They are better in some ways than paid astrology software. There are some, you know, shortcomings that, like, you can't progress through time in your chart there, and that's the advantage of paid software. But quite frankly, that might be the only advantage of paid software. I mean, there's lots of other things that I probably haven't delved into, and I'm only, I only know so much about astrology. So I will maintain humility that there's lots of features for me yet to discover in paid programs, but again, I'm totally rambling. But anyway, you can go there, you can put in your birth data, you can even save it, create an account and save it, like a free account. They let you put in like 100 charts before they tap you out. And you can go through, it's got a lot of functionality where you can bring up different types of charts, and you can even just like click on lines. You can look up composite charts or composite charts, which is like when you put your person's birth data together with your birth data, and it creates a new chart based on the midpoints between your planets. So, their Venus is here, your Venus is here, so then the midpoint is here, and that's what's on the composite, I think I say it wrong, composite chart. For example, synastry as well, which is when you overlay one of your charts against the other, and then just everything to do with your own natal chart. And of course, the place to start with your own natal chart, the place to start with astrology is your own natal chart. And you could spend years unpacking your own chart. And, you might feel like you want to jump into other people's charts and check compatibility and things. That's at least what I was very into. But in actual fact, the deeper you go into your own chart, the more you start to see your filter. You start to see the prism through which you view the world. And it gets really interesting because, if you are judgmental about how other people love, for example, sticking with the theme here, or about, other people's sexuality, it might turn out that you have a Virgo ascendant, or you might have Venus in Virgo, or you might have Mars in Virgo. Like there can be, sorry to trash Virgo. I'm a Pisces, Virgo's the opposite. There's lots of lovely things about Virgo. I actually thought, for a long time, I thought the ruling sign of Virgo was Venus. And that does kind of sum up the priestess energy that comes through like higher vibrational Virgo. 3D modality Virgo would be more like could be like the shadow of Virgo. Let's say the shadow of Virgo could be very like nitpicking, like obsessively detail oriented. Scorpio is very obsessively detail oriented too, but in a more systematic. I mean, Virgo would be more systematic in terms of putting the pieces in order, but Scorpio would be more like extrapolating from that to like what's going on in the bigger picture. I want to say like Scorpios make great detectives, criminologists. Just again speaking generally, depending on what else is going on in your chart, or how much you believe in astrology, maybe. Point is, your ascendant can be your mask. It can be not just your mask, but like how the rest of your data, shall we say, is organized. It's like the program that determines how the rest of your data behaves. And so if you can become conscious of your ascendant, bring more awareness to it, and what I just said is actually helpful, although I was kind of trash talking Virgos. If you're going to be on my channel, you might have to accept a certain amount of trash talking of Virgos. I will try and re-up them at the same time. Like, they are the priestesses of the zodiac. And maybe from now on, I'll just say that anytime the word Virgo comes out of my mouth. They are the knowledge keepers. They are the wisdom holders. So is Capricorn. They are the ancestral. Capricorn's like got the ancestral lineage. There's a really wonderful Virgo astrologer who has made me completely rethink Virgo. And it's clearly full of amazing gifts. It's also my midheaven, so perhaps there's a piece there that I need to reckon with. In any event, becoming more aware of your subconscious biases is helpful. That was the point of this 20-minute ramble about the ascendant. I think we're going to leave it there. I think it's enough. What do you think? Please do, if you feel at all, if you've gotten this far and you feel comfortable leaving a public comment, that would be really lovely. Not just because it helps the algorithm, which it certainly does, but because it'll become a much more fun, engaging place if people start leaving lots of comments. Respectful, kind, compassionate comments. I feel like I'm getting better at delivering content, and I'm hoping that that will resonate and spark some conversations that, you know, let me know how it resonated. And we'll leave it there. Until the next one. Bye, Pile 3. Thanks for being here. Do like and subscribe and all the things. Okay, bye. Oh my goodness, my friends, the reading that would not end. I promised you channeled messages from your person, and then I spaced. And so that was a pretend end, and now we will... I will probably just edit that part out, but if I did not, you'll know what I'm talking about, and if I did, then I signed off, said goodbye, wished you well, asked you to subscribe, like, share, commented that this is the substitute ending, commented that I am nearly at 50 subscribers, which is pretty exciting. It is a hard, long road to that first 100 subscribers. So, you know, if you have anyone that you think might be interested in tarot readings in your life, with the promise that the quality will improve as we go along. I feel like the content's improved. Still need to work on the tech aspects of it, but that'll come. Yeah, and so let's get some channeled messages from your person without further ado. Ooh, I'm sorry for what happened. So maybe that's the reason for your resistance over here. That could explain a lot of the ambiguity in here. So should have done this an hour before. Seriously, that last reading is an hour and a half, and I'm definitely gonna have to cut things down a bit. And that was just the third pile. We have I love myself more, and so should you. I find that one slightly heartbreaking, but it's occurred to me that there's a second way to hear it. So what I was hearing originally is like, I love myself more than I love you, and you should love yourself more than you love me. And, you know, frankly, that's actually kind of a healthy, boundaried proposition. But it also feels like, when I hear that, it feels like a rejection to me. But there could be another meaning of it, which is that I love myself more than I did before, and you should love yourself more than you did before. And that feels like a very healthy, non-triggering statement. So whatever resonates for you. I was too scared to tell you the truth. Interestingly, a bunch of these came up yesterday. Could we have, I don't know, should we get one more? What do you folks think? I was too scared to tell you the truth. And again, I did not pull channel messages for the other two readings, so the other ones felt a little more challenging in terms of the dynamics. I didn't really pick up on challenge coming from your person in this reading, but that suggests that there was some. I just sort of was tuning into your energies. It seemed like your person has things going on in terms of shadows, wounding. Fourth message is not forthcoming. Oh, here we go. I pushed you away, but I actually need you back. Well, I think that's a good note to end on. So with that, without further ado, for real goodbye, please do like and subscribe. And I think I may have had yet another ramble about how interacting in the comments will make this venture so cool. And I would love to just start having conversations. I am a writer, so chances are pretty good that you'll get a response from me, probably a detailed response, at least as long as comments are so few as to not be overwhelming. If they get to the point of being overwhelming, which, you know, God willing, then I might pull back a bit. I don't see myself having time to keep up with loads and loads of comments all the time, but I can commit to responding to them all for the foreseeable future, for sure. Oops, I just put those away. Anyway, for real goodbye. It was like dark when I started this reading, and then it got light and it's dark again. And part of that was having to upload videos and wait for that to be finished until I could record again. But apparently there's a storm coming, so I best get editing if I want to get these out anytime soon. And yeah, it's definitely wintry where I live. It's getting dark and it's only 4 in the afternoon. It's almost dark. Heading into solstice times. I would love to go up to the Yukon and just watch the sun go around the sky. That's one of my dreams. I've realized that, I don't know why I'm rambling about this when I really need to be turning off this reading, but here's a random ramble for you. I just realized that all of the places that I really want to visit in the world, they're all cold places. I want to check out the ice hotels in Sweden. I want to relax in some hot springs in Iceland. And I want to watch the sun go around the earth in the Yukon, and I want to see Arctic wolves, and I want to go somewhere where there's only icy frozen tundra and no humans. I mean, it's all just like northern dreams. Okay, bye for real. Thanks for being here. Appreciate it.